So there I am, face down on a mountain in the rain, bleeding out of my skull because I wanted a hobby. That's it. That's the whole cause of death. Not a war, not a disease, not anything with dignity in it. A guy took up hiking. My name's Li Wei, 20-something, food delivery driver. My girlfriend dumped me a week ago because I was poor, which, fair, honestly, I was extremely poor, but you'd think she'd have led with something classier. So I did what every man does when his life gets kicked over. I decided to go find myself on a mountain. I bought the gear. I packed the bag. I looked at the sky, which was gray in the specific way that skies are gray right before they ruin your entire afternoon, and I thought, that's fine. That's atmosphere. Then it rained. Then the ground turned into a slip and slide made of mud. Then my foot went one direction, and my entire future went another, and my head found the one rock on that whole mountain that was shaped like a decision. And I'm out. And when I open my eyes, there's a girl holding me. Her face is covered in blood. Not hers. She's shaking so hard I can feel it in my teeth, and she's got me wrapped up like she thinks letting go is the thing that kills me. And I'm lying there going, okay. This is a hospital. This is a very aggressive nurse. This is the worst ambulance I've ever been in. And then I look past her shoulder, and there are bodies. Not one, several, lying in the dirt around me, opened up, fresh enough that the blood hasn't finished doing what blood does. So fresh, it's still moving. And my head splits open with a headache, and somebody else's memories start pouring into it like a bucket of ice water down my spine, and I get the full download in about 4 seconds. I'm not in a hospital. I'm not on my mountain. I'm not even in my own body. I'm 14. Let me tell you exactly what I inherited, because the paperwork on this is genuinely spectacular. The girl is Mei Lin. She's the chief's daughter. We grew up together, apparently, which is a fun thing to learn about someone whose name you found out 9 seconds ago. The body's 14 years old and about 1.75 meters, which sounds fine until you understand that in this place, height is the only thing I've got going for me. Because there's no meat on it. There's no meat on anybody. Everyone in this tribe is skin stretched over an engineering diagram. You can count ribs from across a clearing. My skin is yellow with some black in the middle, and after about a minute of thinking about it, I work out that the black is just what happens when a person doesn't shower for several years. Not days, years. Welcome to the Luoshui Tribe. I named it that myself, in my own head, because the previous owner of this body never bothered to name anything, and somebody had to do the branding. Here's the roster. 30-some people, 14 hunters, and 12 of those hunters are women. 4 of the adults have physical disabilities. Everyone's in their 30s or 40s, which in this world isn't middle age, it's a victory lap. I'll get to that. 6 children, total, in the entire tribe. 6. And these people used to be somebody. When they were young, they were the kind of crew that would die for each other without a conversation about it. And then they crossed the wrong big tribe, got hunted across the map, and their chief pulled the survivors out of the fire and ran. Ran until the running stopped. Ran until they hit this valley, which nobody else wanted, which should tell you everything about the valley. And that's the whole nation. 30 people, 4 spears, and a grudge that outlived everyone who remembered starting it. Even by primitive society standards, we are the bottom. We're not a tribe. We're a rounding error with names. And a month ago, they ate meat. That's not a figure of speech. That's the date. 1 month ago was the last time anybody in this camp had protein, and since then, it's been fruit. Sour fruit. 2 pieces a person on a good day. And I need you to understand what that does to a body over a long enough run, because it's not just hunger. Half these people can't see at night. That's not superstition. That's vitamin A. They haven't eaten organ meat in so long that when the sun goes down, the entire tribe goes functionally blind, standing up with their eyes open. Night falls, and 30 human beings become furniture. Hold on to that. It's going to matter in about 6 minutes, and it's going to matter forever. So, the goat. Winter's coming, and the chief, big man, bronze skin, bullhorn on a cord around his neck. Everybody calls him Chang Hu, takes 14 people into the mountains to hunt. And when I say hunt, I want you to lower your expectations and then keep lowering them. Wooden spears, stone spears, rocks. That's the arsenal. That's the entire military-industrial complex of the Luoshui Tribe. Sticks, sharper sticks, and geology. And they find a goat. And goats are fast. Goats are stupidly fast. And a starving man with a stick is not. So they can't chase it. They have to think. So Chang Hu takes his people into the tree line and puts them flat on the ground and waits. Just waits. 14 skeletons lying in the leaves, being patient at a goat. And the goat wanders over to graze, and Chang Hu throws a rock and drops it. First throw, The thing hits the dirt, going bah before its brain is finished writing the sentence, and the whole crew comes out of the trees, and Chang-Hu's already got the straw rope out, and it's over. They got it. They actually got it. 30 people are going to eat this winter, and 10 guys are watching from the bushes. The Wolf Tribe. Over 100 people. The strongest thing in this region by a margin that isn't funny. And their entire economy, their whole business model, top to bottom, is finding smaller tribes and taking their stuff. They've been doing it for years. They've robbed everyone within walking distance, and nobody says a word about it, because the men are enormous, and each one can handle 2 or 3 of anybody else. And what exactly are you going to do about it with a stick? So the Wolf Tribe is rich. Rich in this world means one thing: they eat. Fat, meat, and organs. Lots of organs, constantly, because that's what you get when you take everyone else's food. And here's where the arithmetic gets genuinely evil. Eating organs means seeing at night. They can see in the dark, and we can't. That's not a tactic. That's not clever. That's just what happens when one group eats and the other doesn't. And it means that every single night, for years, the Wolf Tribe has been able to walk into any camp in this valley like it's noon, and the people inside are standing there with their eyes wide open, seeing nothing. Their advantage isn't strength, it's breakfast. And the sun's going down, and Sang-Hu knows it. So he calls it, and they grab the goat and move, fast, because they've got a hard deadline, and the deadline is the light. And the Wolf Tribe is already ahead of them. They're in the hills on both sides of the valley, spread out, waiting, because they didn't have to hurry. And this bunch isn't led by some random guy. This is Lan Shu, one of the 4 grand commanders under He Xiong himself. And the file on him is short and unpleasant. Ruthless, vicious, creative about it, personally responsible for putting a lot of tribes in the ground, and He Xiong's most trusted man. Wolf tribes got stone spears and thick hides. We've got wooden spears and skin. And down in the valley, the Luoshui crew is walking home in the dusk, chatting and laughing, because they got the goat, because tonight's the night it finally goes right, because they are about 90 seconds from the worst thing that's ever happened to them, and every single one of them is in a good mood. Lan. She gives the signal. A dozen stone spears come off the ridge at once and go into the valley like lightning with a job to do, and 4 men are on the ground before anybody's brain catches up. Just down, mid-sentence, hearts pinned. A few seconds of struggling, and then nothing, and the ground going dark under them. And that's the tribe's hunting strength cut by a third in one breath. And Sang-Hu doesn't panic. I want that on the record, because I wasn't there, and I still respect it. He gets everyone back to back in a ring, spears out, facing the dark, and that's the correct call. And it's also completely useless, because Lan Shi brings his men down the slope and puts a circle around the circle. And to the Wolf Tribe, this isn't a fight. This is groceries. These are ants. You put a hand down and you close it. Except Sang-Hu goes first. Spear straight out, straight through a wolf tribesman, and Lan Shi actually frowns. And I love that detail, because it's the exact moment the math stops working. He came to collect a goat off some skeletons, and one of the skeletons just killed a guy. So Lan Shi picks up his spear and goes at Sang-Hu personally. And he leaps and drives it at Sang-Hu's head, and Sang-Hu gets his own spear up and knocks it wide. Lan Shi bounces off and backs up. Sang-Hu comes right back at his heart, no pause, no breath, straight counter, and Lan Shi can't dodge it, so he swings his spear back, and the 2 shafts crack together hard enough to throw them both backwards several steps. That's a starving man in a fair fight with a grand commander. And all around them, it's a mess. Men going down injured on both sides, wolves finding gaps and putting spears through them. 2 more Luoshui hunters hurt. And Sang-Hu can count. He can see exactly where this ends if it keeps going. And it ends with 30 people gone and nobody left to remember it. So he waits. Lan Shi sweeps his spear wide. Big move, big commitment. And it leaves him open for maybe half a second, and Sang-Hu puts his spear through the man's thigh. Lan Shi screams. Lan Shi goes down. And Sang-Hu steps up to finish him, and 2 spears come out of the dark at his ribs. And this is the part that made me sit up. He steps back, drops the shaft to his waist, and spins it 360, the whole spear whipping around him like a fan blade, and the wolf tribesmen scatter back out of range, because getting close to that is a decision with consequences. And the pressure just comes off. The circle opens, and Sang-Hu doesn't take the kill. He doesn't take the goat. He doesn't take anything. "Stop fighting! Retreat!" And they go. And he stands there alone in the gap and holds the whole wolf tribe by himself while his people get out. And Lan Shi lies in the dirt with a hole in his leg and watches them walk away. Watches them walk away. That's what's cooking him, not the leg. Nobody escapes the wolf tribe. That's not a thing that happens here. That's not a thing that's allowed to happen. And now a chief with a bullhorn on his neck and a stick in his hand has done it in front of everybody. so he drags himself home to tell his boss. Back at camp, Cong Hu's people are patching up. Cuts, scrapes, punctures. The shaman comes out with herbs, crushes them with a rock, smears them on. That's it. That's the medicine. And on the other side of the valley, Long Shi limps in and reports to He Shang. And He Shang listens. And He Shang gets furious. And not the way you'd think. Not because his commander's hurt. Because in this whole area, for as long as anyone can remember, nobody has ever put a mark on one of his people. Ever. That's the streak. That's the brand. That's the entire reason 100 men get to eat other people's food without ever fighting for it. Because the number is 0, and everybody knows the number is 0. And Cong Hu just made it 1. So He Shang turns to the man next to him. Take 20 men. Wipe out the Luoshui Tribe. Kill all the men. Take all the women back. And Shui Ying says, okay, boss. 20 men, stone spears, thick hides. And Shui Ying runs his tongue along the tip of his spear on the way out the door and laughs, which is a thing that real people do not do, and this guy does anyway, because he's not a person anymore. He's a service. And back home, Cong Hu already knows. That's the part that gets me. He's not hoping. He's not telling his people it'll be fine. He gathers the wounded up in one place because he knows exactly what's coming, and he knows what he's got left to meet it with, and it isn't enough, and he does it anyway. Let me introduce the last piece of the tribe, Fang, the shaman. She's about 40, and in this tribe, 40 years old is a long life. Sit with that. That's not the oldest person here. That's the achievement. She's not an elder. She's a record holder. 40 is what you get if you're careful and lucky and nothing decides to eat you. And in a place where people are burning their own bodies for fuel just to make it to Thursday, she made it to 40, and that's remarkable enough that everybody knows it about her. And her medical practice, in full? Crush a plant, put it on the hole, hope. And in primitive society, that wound goes septic and kills you, and that is normal. That's not the tragedy. That's Tuesday. Nobody even registers it as a bad outcome, because there is no other outcome to compare it to. So here's the ledger the night I show up. 4 men dead in the valley, 5 more wounded. 10 male members left in the entire tribe, and half of those are leaking. The goat's gone. The one thing that was going to get 30 people through winter is currently being eaten by the guys who killed 4 of them for it, and the tribe that caught it is sitting in the dark with nothing. And the women went out and came back with fruit, which is genuinely the good news of the day. It's sour, it's not sweet. It's 2 pieces each, and nobody's full. But it's something, and they get a little strength back, and that's the emotional high point of this entire evening. And Cong Hu talks it over with his people and makes the call. First light, we leave. We walk away from this place and find a new home and start over from nothing, again, with 10 men and no food and no goat and half of us bleeding. And that's the plan. That's the best plan available. It's a terrible plan, and it's correct, and they're going to do it in the morning. And it gets dark, and they go to sleep. And Shui Ying brings 20 men in through that dark, slow and quiet, toward a camp full of people who cannot see. And when he gets there, he finds it black, completely black, no light anywhere. Because the Luoshui Tribe doesn't have fire. Doesn't have fire tonight. Doesn't have fire. Doesn't know how. It's not in the toolkit. It has never been in the toolkit. So there's no watchfire, no torches, nothing. 30 blind people asleep in a hole in the ground, and 20 men with night vision and stone spears walking in among them like it's the middle of the afternoon. And the first man doesn't even wake up properly. He's just resting there when they put a spear in him, and he screams, and blood comes out of his mouth, and he goes over backward. And that scream is the alarm system. That's it. That's what this tribe has instead of a wall, somebody dying loud enough to warn the others. And Cong Hu comes up out of sleep with a spear in both hands and gets every man he's got moving outward into the dark, and they fight. And I want to be honest about what that fight is. It's men who can't see, swinging at sounds, at people who can see everything. 2 more get run through almost immediately. The wolf tribe just gets meaner as it goes. And Cong Hu and his crew somehow hold and turn back attack after attack, and there is no reason for that to work, and it works. And that's the exact moment I open my eyes. Blood hits Mei Lin across the face, and she grabs me and holds on, and that's where you came in. 9 seconds into a new life. Blind tribe, 20 killers in the camp. 14 years old and dizzy, and I can't even stand up on my own. And Cong Hu shouts it over the top of everything. Women and children, go first! And Mei Lin gets under my arm and hauls me up, and the whole camp starts pulling back into the mountains with the men covering. And here's the one mercy of the entire night. The moon's out. That's it. That's the miracle. The moon is bright enough that people who can't see in the dark can at least make out shadows moving on the ground. And that thin, stupid, borrowed scrap of light is the only reason anyone in this tribe lives past that hour. And Sang-hoo keeps breaking the attacks, over and over. Every time they surge, he's there. Until Shui-ying comes in fast, and Sang-hoo doesn't get all the way clear, and the spear goes into his arm, and the blood starts running down it. And this is where I fall in love with these people a little bit. Because their chief takes a hit, and every single tribesman stops fighting his own guy and starts walking towards Sang-hoo. Not a plan, not an order. They just disengage, in the middle of a night raid, because the man is hurt. And a few of them grab him and run him into the mountains, and the rest cover the retreat, fighting backwards the whole way. They lose ground the entire time, and only a handful get hurt doing it. And that's because of the one thing they've got. The wolf tribe is bigger and stronger, and can see. But this is our mountain. They've lived here for years. Every one of them can run it in the dark on muscle memory alone. And the wolf tribe chases hard, and the wolf tribe keeps falling over. Because running full speed through terrain you don't know is a great way to eat dirt, even with perfect eyesight. And every one of those faceplants buys us seconds, and the seconds add up. And after a while, Shui-ying and his men aren't behind us anymore. They're just somewhere back there in the dark, cursing. So we made it. Except we didn't, because we ran into the mountains at night, and I need to explain what that means here. At night, in this world, nobody goes out. Ever. Not the big tribes, not the strong ones, not anybody. Because after dark, the animals own everything. And in the dark, a primitive human being is not a predator or a rival or even prey worth respecting. He's just food that talks. That's not fear, that's the correct read. And we know that, and we went in anyway, on purpose. Because the plan, the actual conscious plan, was to hide behind the monsters. To use the wild animals as a wall, because the wall was less likely to kill us than the men were. And Shui-ying knows it too, and he doesn't turn around, because he cannot go back to Heixiong and say they got away twice. And from the forest, wolves start howling. Real ones. And now look at the board. Wolves in front, Shui-ying behind. 30 starving people in the middle, half of them wounded, all of them blind, on a hillside at night. And out in the trees, eyes, pairs of them, red and steady and not blinking, all pointed at us. And the wolf tribe stops. They stop cold. Because a pack at night is a thing that kills men in numbers, and it does not care that you have 100 people back home, or that your chief has a streak going. And Shui-ying stands there with his whole raid falling apart, and does the math, and it comes out the same way it came out for everybody. In this forest, there are no rules, human or animal, and the only law is that the strong eat the weak, and the rest of us go home. And he pulls back, and his eyes are full of it, because he was close, a little further, a little longer. He could have finished all of us right there on that slope, and instead, he's walking home in the dark to tell Heixiong he'd lost them too. And Kang-hoo watches them go and lets out a breath. And on the hillside above us, 30 or 40 dark shapes are standing perfectly still, staring down at us. Nobody says anything. The whole tribe just closes up in a knot in the middle of the open, because there is nowhere to go, and the chief's arm is still bleeding, and there is nothing anybody can do about any of it. And Mei Lin looks at her father, and her face just comes apart. That's her dad. That's the man who stood in a gap alone tonight so she could run. And he's standing here in the dark, leaking, and she's 14, and there is nothing in her hands and nothing in her head that fixes it. And it's the middle of the night, and everything around us wants to eat us. And I'm looking at her face, and I can't take it. That's the whole reason. I want to be honest with you about that, because it wasn't strategy, and it wasn't a plan, and I hadn't been in this body a full hour. I looked at a girl I'd known for 4 minutes, watching her father bleed, and something in me just said no. So I tear the animal skin off my chest, and I go looking for plants, in the dark, on a mountainside, with wolves in the trees. And here's my one and only credential. I'm a food delivery driver who got dumped for being broke. But before all that, before the city and the scooter and the girlfriend with opinions, my family lived in the countryside. And out in the countryside, you learn a few plants. Not medicine, just the ones your grandmother knew. The stuff everybody out there knows and nobody in the city ever needs. And the whole mountain is covered in weeds, and the moon is doing me the biggest favor of my life. And I go down on my knees in the dirt and start looking. And I find it. Panax noto ginseng. Or something that has never met Panax noto ginseng, but has clearly been to all the same parties. Different world, different plants, same shape, same look. And I know that look. And it stops bleeding. That's what it does. That's the one thing it's famous for, and it does it fast. So I dig it up, and I chew it, and I pack it onto Chang-hoo's arm. And everybody watches me do it, the whole tribe, in dead silence. Some 14-year-old kid who fell out of a tree last month and hit his head, kneeling in the dark, chewing weeds and putting them on the chief. And nobody stops me, not one person. And that's not because they trust me. It's because they've got nothing else. And when you've got nothing else, you'll let the kid try. And over at the edge, Fong the shaman is watching my hands. And something's moving behind her face. She's not sure. She can't be sure. But she's the only person in this tribe who's ever put a plant on a wound on purpose, and she is watching a child do it with a plant she doesn't know, and her whole world is quietly tilting about 2 degrees. And it's not sentiment either. Let's be clear about the stakes, since I'd already done this arithmetic before I got my hands dirty. Tsang-Hu doesn't get to be weak right now. If that arm keeps running, he goes into shock. And if he goes into shock, we've lost our chief on the same night we lost our hunters. And then it's 30 blind, starving people with no goat, no fire, no home, and no leader, in the woods, at night. He's not a man with a cut. He's load-bearing. And the wolves are getting closer. And now we're back to me and my actual qualifications, which are that before I died, I watched an unreasonable number of wilderness survival videos. That's it. That's what I brought across. Not a system, not a cheat, not a golden finger. Some guy on a screen showing me how to not die in a forest, and me on a couch going, huh, neat. And now it's the only thing standing between 30 people and a pack of wolves. Bless every single one of those channels, genuinely. I take back every mean thing I ever thought about the thumbnails. And I look around, and there's a hole in the rock not far ahead. Small cave. And wolves are afraid of fire, and we have no fire. And that cave has one entrance, which means one direction, which means the pack can't do the thing packs do. So I open my mouth. First real thing I ever say in this world. Everybody form a circle. Elderly, women and children in the middle, men on the outside. We back up to the cave like that. And they do it. I still don't know why. I've thought about it a lot. 30 terrified people in the pitch dark took a tactical instruction from a 14-year-old with a head injury and just did it, instantly, no argument, and started moving as a unit. And we walk backward up that slope in a ring like a very slow, very frightened animal with 30 legs. And here's the muster. 7 grown men. That's what's on the outside of the ring. 7. And the strongest one has a hole in his arm. Things cannot get worse, and I want you to remember that I said that. And we make the cave. Women in first, then the elderly, then the kids. Then the men close the door with their bodies, and Sang-Hu takes the front of the whole thing. 1 spear, 1 working arm, standing in the mouth of a hole in a mountain like he's the last word on the subject. And I'm standing there doing the only honest math available. Without fire, tonight, we do not get out of this. And I look out into the dark, and all I can see is eyes. I count them. 20, 30, somewhere in there. And people think wolves are like dogs, and they're not, and the difference is the thing that'll kill you. A dog bites you, a wolf doesn't. Wolves don't do it once. Wolves are a committee. They come as a group. They work as a group. They've got teeth like tools. And once they've got hold of you, the odds of ever getting loose are basically arithmetic. 20 of them, 7 of us, in the dark. So my brain does the thing it does, which is start flipping through every video I ever watched at 2 in the morning instead of sleeping. Fire. I need fire, right now. And I turn to the chief. Chief, hold them off a little longer. I'm going to make fire. And the man next to me looks at me like I have just announced that I'm going to grow wings. And I mean that. That's a real look. That's a look you get exactly once in your life, and here's why. Fire only exists in the big tribes. That's it. That's the tech tree. The wolf tribe has fire. We do not. And people in the small tribes aren't just fireless. They're afraid of it. It's a thing the big tribes have, like a weapon, like a face they wear. It's not a tool you don't own. It's a power you don't have. The Luoshui Tribe has never seen fire. Not never made, never seen it. Every person in that cave is going to watch me do something they have no word for. And Tsang-Hu and Fong both look at me and cannot believe it. And I don't blame them, because as far as anybody here knows, I'm the kid who fell out of a tree picking fruit and cracked his head and hasn't been quite right since. That's my whole reputation. That's my resume. Fell out of a tree, was ordinary, hit head, now claims to make gods. And Tsang-Hu takes his men and blocks the cave mouth with wooden spears and stone spears. And behind them, the women pick up rocks, fist-sized, and stand there. Not one of them runs deeper into the cave. There is no deeper. There is nowhere to go, and they know it. So they pick up rocks and stand behind their men and wait. And that is the whole national defense of the Luoshui Tribe. And I get to work. Dry wood off the floor, stone knife blade, scraping it, long, hard strokes, and sawdust starts coming off in little curls. Pile the shavings onto a dry, soft branch. Find a twig about finger thick. Set the tip in the shavings and spin. And nothing happens. I spin that stick until my palms are on fire and I'm sweating through a hide in the middle of the night, and there is nothing. No smoke, no heat, not one thing. And I'm losing my mind, because in the videos, this takes about 40 seconds, and the guy's always talking pleasantly the whole time. How is this different? How is this different? That man had a lovely time. That man had a whole conversation about Tinder selection. Nobody tells you that the guy in the video has done it 400 times. Nobody tells you they cut the bad take. And Mei Lin is watching me. And her face is worried. And here's the thing about her that I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to deserve. She doesn't know why, but she's sure I can do it. That's it. No reason, no evidence. She's known this kid her entire life, and he has never made fire, because nobody has ever made fire, because fire belongs to people who are allowed to have things. And she looks at me, spinning a stick like an idiot in the dark, and she just believes it. Completely, unconditionally. And I don't have anything to give her back for that. I've got a stick. And everyone else starts to panic, because they can hear the pack getting closer, because they can see me getting nowhere, because 30 people are standing in a hole watching a child do something incomprehensible, and it is not working. And the faces get tighter, and the sound outside gets nearer, and nobody knows what to do, so they just keep watching me. 30 people, total silence, all eyes on the twig. And I put everything I've got left into it, and a curl of black smoke comes up, and I lose my mind. I go faster, faster than I thought this body could go, faster than I've gone at anything in my life, and in the shavings, tiny, orange, alive. Sparks. And I don't celebrate, because celebrating is how you lose it. I scoop the sawdust up, tip the sparks onto it, and start blowing, gently, like the thing's asleep, and I'm trying not to wake it up rude. And it grows. And I find the rhythm, and I keep blowing, and the little orange thing in my hands gets bigger and hungrier and starts asking for more, and I drop the dry grass on it, and it goes up. Bang! The whole cave lights up at once, and 30 people stop breathing. You have to understand what they're actually seeing. Not a campfire, not a tool. A hole in a mountain that was pitch black 1 second ago is now gold, and the dark that has been trying to kill them all night just leaves, gets up and goes. All of it, everywhere, gone in the space of a heartbeat. And the walls have colors, and everyone can see everyone's face. Is this the divine fire? That's the question going around that cave, and nobody's joking. And Fang starts talking, fast, loud, excited, and I don't understand a word of it because she's not speaking to me. That's shaman language. That's the special one. 30 seconds into the biggest moment of her professional life, and she's gone straight to the ceremonial dialect, and I'm the only person in the room who can't follow along. And the rest of the tribe drops. They start worshiping it, right there. Not wow, not nice. They see a light in a cave, and their bodies just know what to do about it. And what they do is get down. And outside, the wolves stop. Every red pair of eyes just holds where it is. 20, 30 animals that were 40 seconds from a very easy dinner, standing in the dark, not coming a step closer, because there is something in that hole now that their entire species has known about for longer than mine has existed. I didn't fight them off. I didn't outthink them. I turned on the light. And 30 people let out a breath they'd been holding since the first scream in the camp. And I don't get to enjoy it, because the flames need feeding, so I put the women on branch duty while the wolves are still keeping their distance, and then I sit everybody down together. They're wrecked, exhausted, starving, half of them bleeding, and every one of them is just quietly grateful to be alive, which is the kind of bar this tribe operates at. And I walk to the mouth and look out and set a watch rotation, men on shifts through the night. And then I take the fire myself, because there's nobody else. Nobody in this tribe knows how to keep it going. Nobody knows what it eats, or how much, or what happens if you let it get small. And they're still scared of it, reverent and terrified at once, which is exactly the correct response to a god you met 11 minutes ago. So the 14-year-old sits up with it alone, all night. The first fire this tribe has ever had, and it has one employee. And I look up, and there's light coming into the sky. Morning's coming, and everybody's alive, and by every rule this place runs on, that should not be true. And I sit there, feeding sticks to a god and thinking about the actual problem. Because the fire was the emergency. The fire's handled. And I've been in this body about 6 hours, and I've barely got the memories sorted. And the real thing, the thing under everything, is very simple, and it isn't wolves. These people are starving. Not tonight, always. Fire doesn't fix that. Fire just means you're warm while it happens. And Kang Hu's sitting a little way off, watching the dark, and he's tight, really tight. That pack rattled him, and it hasn't let go. So I look at him. Biff, do you know this area? Is there a place that's high up with a lot of animals and plenty of water? And he actually thinks about it, and there is. The Yellow River Valley, not far. There are many animals there. It's a valley in the middle, and the water source is plentiful. And Feng comes over, curious, and the three of us start talking it through, the chief, the shaman, and the kid. And you need to understand how completely insane that is. Because I'm 14, I have no say in this tribe. None. Zero. That's not modesty, that's the org chart. Tribes run on rank, and the leader and the shaman only talk to people who have standing, and the previous owner of this body had exactly one job in the world, which was going out with the women to pick fruit. That's the whole career. That's the ceiling. That's what this body was for. And if I hadn't pulled fire out of a stick with my bare hands an hour ago, neither of these two would ever have spoken a word to me. Not once. Not ever. But in primitive society, fire is the gods, and I just did it in front of them, barehanded, in the dark, with the wolves at the door. So the chief and the shaman are sitting here listening to a child, and both of them have quietly landed on the same conclusion, which is that the god who makes fire will probably make them strong. And I look at these two faces looking at me and think, okay, that's the promotion. Fastest career change of my life, and all it cost was dying. Nothing else happens that night. And when I wake up, it's full morning, the sky's bright, and the wolves have all gone home. And I tell the tribe the plan from last night, and some of them don't want to go. Of course they don't. It's a terrible place, but it's their terrible place, and moving means walking into somewhere with more animals in it, which to these people means somewhere with more ways to die. And the chief and the shaman say we're going. And that's the end of the discussion, because yesterday there were two people in this tribe whose word was final. And today, there are still two, but now they're both repeating the kid's idea. We're going to the Yellow River Valley. A dangerous place with plenty of food and water, and every word in that sentence is doing work. And we've got a problem before we've taken a step. Several people got hurt last night. There's no food this morning. The whole tribe is listless, and the old people and the kids are the worst of it. They're not tired, they're empty. And you cannot walk empty people across 2 days of open country full of things with teeth. Food first. Food right now. Nothing else on the list matters until that one's crossed off. And there's a stream near the cave, with big fish in it. And I say, let's fish, and the entire tribe looks at me like I've suggested we go argue with the sky. Because primitive people don't catch fish. I don't mean they prefer not to. I mean it doesn't work. And here's why. Their method is to walk into the water and hit the fish with a stick. That's it. Or throw rocks at it. And a fish is gone before you're within 3 meters of it, so the stick never touches anything, and neither do the rocks, and you spend all day soaking wet with nothing. So the collective wisdom, learned the hard way over generations, is don't bother. You could stand in cold water all day catching nothing, or you could go pick fruit and actually eat. And that logic is completely sound. It's just built on top of the assumption that the stick is the only tool that exists. And when I say I'm going fishing, nobody wants to come. Not one person wants to waste the daylight. In their heads, fishing is impossible, and hunting small animals is at least theoretically a thing that happens. But everyone's got to eat today, or nobody walks tomorrow. So I head for the stream, and Mei Lin falls in beside me. Instantly. No hesitation, no vote, no waiting to see which way it goes. And the rest of the tribe stands there and watches the chief's daughter walk off after the kid who made fire. And then, one at a time, with no better ideas, they follow. And the stream is full. Fish everywhere, 3 or 4 pounds each, some of them 5 or 6. That's a wall of food. That's been sitting there this whole time, a short walk from a tribe that's been eating sour fruit for a month because nobody could figure out the last 10 centimeters of the problem. So I gather everybody up and start teaching primitive men how to fish. Bamboo first. I find the stand, grab a few sharp stones off the ground, and we start cutting, thumb-thick stalks, and every man who isn't bleeding is out there hacking away. And after half an hour, we've got 7 or 8 of them. Then we grind the stone until one end is properly sharp, and we lash it on. Spears. Fish spears. Which is not a wild leap from what they already had, and that's the point. I'm not inventing anything. I'm just moving one thing 3 inches to the left. And then the actual lesson. Because the whole game is one problem. How do you hit the fish? And you don't aim at the fish. That's it. That's the secret. That's the entire thing. You aim low, under it, because the water bends the light, and the fish you can see isn't where the fish is. It's a picture. It's a lie that the surface is telling you, and every man in this tribe has spent his whole life stabbing at a lie and coming up empty and concluding that fish are impossible. They're not impossible. The water was cheating. And I don't have the physics vocabulary, and it doesn't matter, because you don't need to explain refraction. You need to say, aim under it. So we spread out along the stream and stand still and wait. And an hour goes by, and nobody catches anything. And I'm standing in cold water in a 14-year-old body, watching 7 starving men slowly remember that they told me this wouldn't work, and I can feel the patience running out of that stream faster than the water. And then I hit one. 3 or 4 pounds, right on the end of my bamboo, up out of the water, kicking. And the mood changes like somebody flipped it. Because now it's not a theory. Now it's a fish. And the hunting team gets their confidence and settles in, and it isn't long before somebody else lands one. And then it's just happening, over and over, up and down. The bank. More than a dozen fish, in no time. And there are only about 20 people left in the whole Luoshui Tribe now. 20. That's what we're down to after one night. And this tribe cannot lose one more person, not one. And a dozen fish is not a meal, it's a stay of execution. And then they eat them raw. Because nobody knows how to make fire but me, and I'm not there, so the tribe does what the tribe does. Scale the fish, gut it, and bite in. And they clean them properly first, which I want to note, because it's the thing people get wrong about these people. They're not stupid, they're inexperienced. Nobody's eating scales. There's technique here, there's knowledge here. It's just knowledge that stops at a wall nobody's been over. And I stand there watching my entire tribe eat raw fish with blood running down their chins, and it is genuinely one of the most horrifying things I have ever witnessed with my own eyes. And I'm a modern soul. I cannot do this. I physically cannot do this. And then I do it, because the alternative is not walking tomorrow. I force down a few bites, slowly. My stomach files a formal complaint. I keep it down anyway, because being nauseous is a luxury problem, and being dead isn't. And the second there's something in there, my body just switches on. Strength comes back, like someone plugged me in. Turns out food does that. Turns out that's what all of it's been about this whole time. And everyone eats their fill, and there's some left over, and now we can move. And the next problem's already on me, because the weapons are junk. I'm looking at what we're carrying and doing the honest assessment. These things barely hurt anything. And we're about to walk 2 days through open country toward a valley we picked specifically because it's full of animals. Wolves, leopards, saber-toothed tigers. Any one of those meets us on the road and we get taken apart, because a starving man with a sharp stick is a snack with a handle. So I want bows. And I can't have bows because there's no bowstring. There's no material for one. That's the whole tech tree collapsing on one missing part. And I stand there running through every option I've got and coming up with nothing. No clue, no angle, nothing. And then it lands. The spear thrower. Okay, let me sell you on this thing because it's about to run this entire episode. An atlatl is a stick. It is genuinely just a stick with a hook on the end. And what it does is make your arm longer. And making your arm longer does something completely disproportionate to how dumb it is. A regular man throws a spear 70, 80 meters. With one of these, he throws it over 200. That's not an improvement. That's a different weapon. In a world where every fight happens at arm's length with a sharpened stick, that's a rifle. That's artillery. That's reaching out and killing something before it knows the day has gone wrong for it. And here's the part that actually matters, and that I don't think anybody in this valley is ready for. It barely takes any strength. It's leverage. Physics does the work. Which means the women of this tribe can throw it. Which means every starving, underfed person here who has never been able to contribute a single calorie of protein in their life can now hunt. That's not a hunting tool. That's the labor force doubling. So I put 5 or 6 wooden spears on every hunter. And I've got wounded. So I got up in the morning and made Panax Noda ginseng powder, actual prepared medicine, in advance, before anybody's bleeding, and I dressed the wounds with it. And here's the brutal thing about these bodies. Primitive people heal fast, genuinely fast, as long as the wound doesn't go septic. That's the whole coin flip, infection or not. And if they didn't heal like that, they'd have all died in a ditch somewhere generations ago. So the ones walking around are the ones the flip kept going for. And the walk is hard, 2 days, and it's hardest on the old and the women, who are carrying the least food and the most nothing. And Song Hu and me and 7 hunters each get a spear thrower, and 6 spears each, so if a goat or a rabbit shows up on the road, we can just take it and put it in the pot, because we're not passing up a single calorie between here and the valley. And Mei Lin looks at the spear throwers, and then she looks at me. And I want to talk about this girl for a second, because I've been dancing around her, and she's the reason any of this holds together. She's 14. She's the chief's daughter. She's thin, properly thin, the kind that isn't a body type, it's a diagnosis, because there's been nothing to eat her entire life. Wheat-colored skin from working under the sun, dark spots on her hands and feet from a life with no such thing as washing, oval face, delicate features, the girl next door face, which, in this valley, is a liability. Because the men here don't want that. The aesthetic standard in this world is tall, big, strong women, because everyone believes tall women make strong children and strong children survive. That's not shallow, that's actuarial. Nobody's picking a face, they're picking odds. So, by local standards, Mei Lin isn't much, and by mine, she's the best thing on this continent, and I'm the only person here who thinks so, which suits me fine. And the tribe's women are gone all day, every day. Out at dawn hunting for fruit trees, back at dark. That's the whole shift. Under the sun, all day, looking for sour fruit so their kids get 2 pieces. And that's why her skin's like that. And that's why her hands are like that. Not neglect. Overtime. And along the road, she keeps looking at me when she thinks I'm not watching. And I'm going to be straight with you here, because there's a version of this story where I'm cool about it, and that version is a lie. I like her too, obviously. I've liked her since she was holding my head in the dirt with somebody else's blood on her face. In my last life, I loved somebody with everything I had, and she left me anyway because I couldn't afford her. And this world gave me a second one, and I'm not going to be stupid about it twice. But not now. Not for a long time. We're kids, and we're starving, and there's 20 of us left, and there's nothing here yet. No home, no food, no walls, no future. So it goes in a box, and the box goes on a shelf, and the shelf is called later, and the only thing on the list today is getting these people somewhere they can live. Everything else waits until there's a world worth having it in. And on the road, we meet a wild boar. And with the new gear, it isn't a fight, it's a procedure. 300 pounds of animal, and the hunting team takes it apart with an ease that would have been science fiction 2 days ago. And I watch grown men look down at a stick in their hands like it just proposed to them. And the tribe eats, properly eats, full, all of them. And I sit there with fire and roasted meat like a civilized human being, and I have a full stomach for the first time since I died. And 30 people around me are quiet in the way people get when the thing they've been braced against their whole lives lets go for one evening. 2 days ago, they got 4 men killed over 1 goat. Today, we knocked over a boar on the way to somewhere else and barely broke stride. 2 days of walking, and there it is, the Yellow River Valley. And the first thing I see is carnivores, everywhere, just around, at a glance. And they look up at us, and they don't care. That's the detail that put ice down my back, not the wolves, the indifference. 3 or 5 of them just strolling around out there, taking their time, completely ignoring 20 humans who walked into their valley. Because they've already eaten, and we're not interesting right now. Not right now. That's the operative phrase. We're not food today. We're food later when they're hungry, and they know exactly where we'll be. This place is too dangerous. That's the honest verdict. That's the correct verdict. And it's the only place with enough food to keep us alive. So we're staying. So we pick a spot, and we pick it like people who've learned things. Behind a lake, 3 or 4 meters up above the water. Water at our backs, which means nothing comes from that direction. High ground, and animals will come to that lake to drink at night. Which sounds like a nightmare and is actually the entire point, because animals that come to you are animals you don't have to go find. And the fish in there are going to be endless. We didn't pick a safe place. There isn't one. We picked a place where the danger and the food are the same thing, and then we set up on top of it. And the tribe gets to work. And the first thing, before shelter, before anything, is 3 fences. 3 sides. The lake covers the 4th, and nothing's climbing up out of that. And there's timber everywhere, washed down by old floods, just lying there, waiting. So the tribe hauls, and I take a few people, and we dig. Post holes, timber in the holes, pack them with mud. And we go until noon, and everyone's soaked through and dying, and I don't stop, and I don't let anybody else stop, because I know exactly what those fences are. That's not carpentry. That's whether we're alive on Thursday. And here's something I never thought I'd get to say about this tribe. We're not short of food. The dried fish is here, the boar's here. It all came with us. There's a surplus in a place that has never had a surplus, and it's sitting in a pile behind a fence we're building with our own hands. And I look at that and think, okay, temporary housing first, and then we build a town. And by afternoon, the 3 fences are done. I leave a doorway in the front so people can move in and out, and it's not a gate, it's a gap. And at night, we drag a couple of big logs across it and tie them off, and that's the door. And everyone piles up wood for the night fires, and that's it. That's the settlement. 3 fences, a hole with logs in it, and a lake. And it's the safest any of these people have been in years. And I want you to look at the last few days from where they're standing. This kid pulled fire out of his hands. Then he took the whole tribe to a stream everyone knew was a waste of time and made it rain food. Then he built a stick that throws a spear 200 meters. Then a boar that would have cost lives last week, just fell over. 4 for 4. Nothing but hits. They're not being polite to me anymore. They're not humoring the kid. I'm their god now. That's not a metaphor, and it's not a joke. That is the actual position I hold in this tribe as of this afternoon, and nobody voted on it. And that night I light the fire and put the leftover meat on branches and set them by the flames. And the whole tribe stands there wondering if it's safe to eat. Because on the road, I only ever roasted meat for myself. Everyone else ate it raw, and I let them because there was no time. You don't run a cooking seminar while you're being hunted. Survival first, standards later. And now it's later. We've got a place, we've got fences. We can afford to be particular about things now. And being particular about things is the entire difference between staying alive and actually living. And I've been waiting for the exact moment I could start. And the smell hits. Roasting meat. In a camp of people who have never smelled it. And 20 starving humans start salivating so hard you can see it happening, and not one of them will touch it. Because it's been in the god fire. Because it changed color. Because it doesn't look like meat anymore. It looks like something that happened to meat, and nobody has any idea whether eating it is allowed. So I take 2 pieces off the fire, and I hand one to the chief and one to the shaman. You first. And Sang-hu and Fang look at each other. Ask me what happens to a tribe the first time it tastes cooked food. And they eat it, and the aroma just fills them. There's no salt on it, there's no seasoning, there's nothing on it at all, and it is still so far past raw fish that it isn't a comparison, it's a different activity. And it's gone in seconds, both of them. The chief of the tribe and the holy woman inhale a piece of unseasoned pork like it owes them money. And Mei Lin watches her dad go at it like that, and she can't hold out either. So she picks up a piece and eats it in small bites, careful little ones, like she's trying to make it last. And I stand there watching her and lose about 4 seconds of my life to it. And the whole tribe's been watching the chief this entire time. And the second he goes for a second piece, that's the vote. Everybody eats. And in 90 seconds, there's 20 people around a fire with grease all over their mouths. And I want to point out that it's the exact same mess as the raw fish. Same faces, same hands, same blood and fat situation. And it's not horrifying anymore. It's dinner. Same picture, completely different photograph. And I'm sitting there with my own piece thinking one thought, and it isn't gratitude, and it isn't triumph. If only this had salt. That's next. That's the next thing I go get. And I split the night into 2 watches, 4 hunters each. Because out here on the plains, the dark isn't background, it's an opponent. And if you get careless once, you don't get to see the sun come up. And the women split into 2 groups to tend the fire, because the fire is now infrastructure, and infrastructure needs staff. And everybody's been working since dawn, so they go down hard. And I take first watch myself, and nothing happens. And that's the problem. Because nothing happening is what makes the second half of the night dangerous. Second watch, the dead hours. The part of the night where the human body files for bankruptcy. And out past the fence, wolves, several of them, coming in quiet. And inside, the fire's getting smaller because the people minding it are the most exhausted human beings on this continent, and their eyes are closing. And the wolves can see that. That's the thing people don't get about them. They're not just hungry, they're watching. They watched the light get low. They watched the shapes stop moving. And they got braver by exactly as much as the fire got smaller. Isin, one of them puts its head up to the fence and sniffs it, takes its time, reads the whole thing. And then it finds the crack in the door and bites a man's arm through it. And it doesn't just bite, it gets hold and starts working it, ripping back and forth with everything it's got, trying to take the arm through the gap. And blood goes down that man's arm in a sheet, and he screams. And that scream wakes everybody up, and I want you to notice that it's the second time in 3 days that this tribe's early warning system has been a man being injured. And I'm up with a stone spear before I'm awake, and I put it through the wolf's neck, and it howls, and the blood comes down its neck onto the ground, and it keeps coming, and it doesn't stop, and then the animal just stops being an animal, and the pack loses its mind. Because they watched it happen. They watched one of theirs die outside the fence, killed by something inside the fence. And whatever that thing is, it wasn't in the plan. And the whole pack goes berserk and starts tearing into the fence with everything they have. And I get everyone organized, and we fight. Back. And this is where those 3 fences earn their entire existence. Because we're not fighting wolves. We're stabbing through a wall at wolves, and they can't get in, and we can get out. And several of them take a spear in the body, and their blood ends up all over the timber. And they can't win it, and they know it. And they start to back off. And out in the dark, there's a white wolf king, and he howls. And I don't speak wolf, but I promise you the meeting has an agenda, and the agenda is, how many of ours are dead? What is that thing? And why did our people die on the wrong side of it? And he's magnificent. I hate that he's magnificent. Tall, heavy, fierce eyes, and white fur with an actual shine on it, in a valley where every living thing is starving and filthy, which tells you exactly one thing about who's been eating. That animal has presence. That animal walks into a situation, and the situation reorganizes around it. And he comes down to a spot near the fence, and he starts directing. Not charging. Directing. Positioning his people for a second attack while our men grip their spears and listen to their own hearts going, because everyone in that enclosure has done the arithmetic already. If the pack gets in, everyone in here gets bitten to death. That's not a fear. That's just what the number says. And the second attack comes, and Sang Hu leads it from the front, one arm and all, and the men swing straight into them, and it's a brawl through the timber, spears out, wolves in, deadlock, both sides holding. And then the fence starts to deform, and that's the sound of the whole night turning over, because that fence went up this afternoon with mud and hope, and it's bending. And then it works in our favor, because as the timber warps, some of the wolves get their necks stuck in it, and our men see it, and they don't hesitate. They grab their spears and start working them in, hard, ugly, up close, and several wolves go down right there, held in place by the wall they were trying to break, and the blood goes up into our people's faces. 20 starving human beings, mud on their hands, standing in a broken fence, killing wolves through the gaps in it. That's the Luoshui Tribe. That's what these people are when you give them one wall. And the Wolf King watches that and makes a decision. And he peels off, quick, down the side of the fence, the part nobody's fighting at. And he jumps it, clears the whole thing, lands on top, and looks down at us. And I feel it go straight down my spine, because he's looking at me, and I know exactly what that is. He's been running the fight from the back the whole time. He's watched who gives the orders. He's watched who the humans look at when they don't know what to do. He's not attacking the tribe. He's decapitating it, and he comes off that fence at my shoulder. And I'm going to die. That's not drama. That's the honest read of the moment. 14 years old, 4 days in this body, one working idea in my head and no time to have it, with 100 pounds of white wolf already in the air. And a spear comes out of nowhere at his chest. One of my men, faster than the situation. And the Wolf King is so good that even mid-lunge, he senses it and turns and gets his teeth on the shaft instead of taking it in the ribs. But he's not in the air anymore. He's dealing with something else. And that's the half second. And I take it. I get my spear up and put it into him with everything this body has, and it lands. Solid. Straight through the guard. No dodge. All of it. And the Wolf King howls. And I hit him so hard I knock him off me. The last one's clean, and it moves him. This animal, this king, gets shoved off a 14-year-old and hits the dirt with a hole in his side. And he gets up. Of course he does. And he howls, and he licks the wound, and I watch him do the math right there in front of me. No advantage here. The wall works. The humans have something new, and this is costing more than it's worth. And he calls it off. And the pack breaks and goes, instantly, no argument, which tells you everything about how that outfit is run. And they leave 7 bodies behind them, and they hate it. You can feel them hating it all the way into the tree line. And everyone breathes, and I count heads. 1 man, 1 arm. Minor. That's the casualty list. 7 dead wolves outside, 1 bitten arm inside. 3 nights ago, this tribe lost 6 men and a goat to a fight it never got to have. And then I go find the night watch, and I'm not nice about it. Why were you asleep? If it weren't for the fence, how many of us would be dead right now? And they look at the ground, ashamed, and they take it. And here's the thing I don't say out loud. They're right and I'm right, and it doesn't matter. These people haven't slept properly in days. They're strung out, exhausted, wired on fear, and at 3 in the morning, a human body just stops taking orders. That's not a discipline problem. That's biology. You cannot yell physiology into working. Which means the answer isn't better guards. The answer is a better wall. And then I look at the man who saved my life. They call him Hei Hu. He's the fastest man in the tribe, genuinely fast, leopard fast. And I want to tell you where that name comes from, because it's the most this-world thing in the whole episode. He's called Hei Hu because his hands and feet are black as charcoal. Not from ancestry, from a lifetime outdoors under the sun, with no such thing as a bath. That's it. That's the origin story of the coolest name in this valley. Man got the greatest nickname on the continent, because nobody here has ever washed. And I'll take it. I'd take that name. That's a great name. And I look at him and think about the future, because he didn't just save me. He read the whole fight, spotted 100 pounds of Wolf King coming out of the dark at his chief, and got a spear there before I even knew it was happening. And I've got 20 people, and no army, and no idea what's coming. And this tribe is not going to survive on me being clever. It's going to survive on people like this one. So that's decided. I'm going to bring him along. Properly. Not as a hunter. As somebody who helps me run this place. Remember the guy with the charcoal hands. he's going to matter. And Mei Lin comes over, and she doesn't say anything. She just looks me up and down, all the way down, checking, taking inventory, and only when she's confirmed there's not a mark on me does she let herself relax. She didn't ask if I was okay. She verified it. And then I go patch up the bitten arm, and it's a hole. It's a bite. It's ugly. It's not serious. It'll heal fine as long as it doesn't go bad on him, and as long as there's no rabies in it, which is a sentence I'd like everyone to just quietly sit with for a moment and then never think about again. And I know exactly what I'm doing with it. And here's my credential. I got bitten by wolfhounds a lot as a kid. That's it. That's the expertise. Country kid, farm dogs, bad decisions. I have a lifetime of personal experience with the specific injury of a canine got hold of me and would not let go. And it has finally, in my second life, on another planet, become a marketable skill. And the whole tribe comes and stands around me while I work. All of them. The chief, the shaman, everybody. Because I'm the pillar now. That's what I am to these people. The fire, the fish, the spear thrower, the boar, and now a fence that ate a wolf pack and gave back one sore arm. And they know, all of them know, with total clarity. Without that fence, the Luoshui Tribe ends tonight. And near dawn, I put people on the wolves. Skin them, keep the meat, and the elders say wolf tastes sour, and I have no idea if that's true, and there's exactly one way to find out. So we eat the wolves, and the tribe puts away a serious amount of wolf meat, and by the time we're done, the sun's up, and I want to mark this moment properly. A pack came to eat us, and we ate them, and then wore them, and it took one night. And I'm already on to the next thing before breakfast is finished, because the fence held, and the fence bent, and I watched it bend. We need mud brick. Because timber and mud is a fence, and a fence is a delay. It's not a home, it's a thing that buys you the seconds you need to get a spear into something. And I am not spending every night of my life waiting for a wall to lose. So, how do you make brick that holds? And I go back to my childhood, because that's the only library I've got. Old mud brick house. Mud, straw, and small stones mixed together. Let it dry. And that stuff is strong. Those houses in my hometown are still standing. Still. Generations of weather, and they're just there, being houses, and everybody drives past them without a second look because they're boring. Boring is the whole point. Boring means it worked. And there's no straw here, so we use weeds. Grass. Same job. You're just giving the mud something to hold on to so it doesn't crack itself apart while it dries. And I put the whole tribe to work, and I want to read you the assignment sheet because this is the first time in this tribe's history that anybody has ever been organized. 7 women digging earth, with broken pieces of wood because we don't own a single tool. That's the state of our technology. We are excavating a settlement with scrap timber and hands. 5 children on grass, stone knives, cutting weeds. The youngest is about 10. The oldest is Mei Lin, who's my age exactly, and who takes one look at the job and just takes over, leads them out there and runs the whole crew. The rest of the women stomping mud in puddles. And the men in 3 groups, brickmakers, trap diggers, and the wounded on spear duty, because a man with a hole in his arm can still sit down and make weapons, and I am not wasting a single pair of hands on this continent. And the 4 elders get the wolf pelts. And that's the part that made me sit back, honestly. Because the elders turn those pelts into hide armor, warm clothing that's also protection, real protection, the kind where an ordinary wooden spear can hit you 3, 4, 5 times and not get through. 5 hits. That's what the wolves were wearing the night they walked into our camp and killed 6 of us. That's what thick animal hides meant all along. That wasn't clothing, that was armor, and we were fighting it with sharp sticks and confusion. And now the wolf pack came to our fence, and we're wearing them. Everyone's got a job, everybody's moving, and I go teach 2 men to make brick. We build the mold out of broken wood, of which there is an unlimited supply, because the floods bring it down every year, and the rivers here are big, and they've been doing it forever. This entire valley is carpeted in free lumber that nobody has ever picked up. Mix the mud, press it into the frame. 20 centimeters high, 30 long, 20 wide. Pack it down. Then take a straw rope and pull it across the top to shear off the excess. And they've got it in about 10 minutes. That's the thing about these people. You show them once. And then I take Heihu and 2 more out to the water to dig traps. And the crew makes bamboo spears while we pick the spot. And the spot picks itself, because there's one law in this valley, and it's that everything drinks. So we dig, with logs, furiously, and Heihu's genuinely baffled the whole time. What's the point of digging such a big pit? And I smile at him, and I know exactly how insufferable I'm being, and I do it anyway. This thing is called a trap. Hold on, stick these short bamboo spears in the bottom. The animal walks over it, it falls in, and the spears do the rest. And they get it. And you can watch it land on all of them at once, the whole hunting team standing around a hole in the ground, imagining a boar dropping into it, and picturing the look on its face. And the entire crew just cracks up. Grown men, starving men, men who buried 4 of their friends this week, standing around a pit in the dirt, laughing at a wild boar that doesn't exist yet. That's the first time I ever heard these people laugh. And I cover it. Small branches over the top, then leaves. And we go home. And when I get back, the tribe has been cooking. Over 300 bricks. At that rate, we get the first house up in days. And it's going to be a terrible house. I want to be honest about that. It's going to be a lumpy mud box that a real builder would laugh at. And it's the first building any of these people have ever had. And the wolfskin clothes are done, and I put one on myself and hand out the other 6. And that's the moment. Not the fire, not the boar, this one. Because I'm the one distributing now. I'm the one who decides who gets armor, and everybody watched me decide, and nobody said a word about it. I'm the leader, not the god kid, not the useful weirdo. The chief's still the chief, and he's standing right there, and it doesn't matter. The tribe has quietly rerouted, and the routing is final. And I hand them to the chief, to Heihu, and to 4 more of the team. Fighters first. All the best gear goes to the people who fight. And it's not favoritism, it's the only doctrine that makes sense. Those 7 are what stands between the tribe and everything out there. Make them stronger, and everyone gets safer. Give the armor to a man who doesn't fight, and it's just a nice coat on a corpse in waiting. That's the rule. That's how it's going to work here from now on. And here's my problem. I have eaten barbecue every single day for a week, and my mouth hurts. That's a real thing that's happening to me. Roasted meat, unsalted, every meal, no variation, and my jaw is sore, and my whole face is tired, and I am not being dramatic. I have hit the actual physical limit of what a human mouth can do to grilled pork. If only I could make a pot. Because a pot is not a pot. A pot is boiling, a pot is soup, a pot is water you can make safe. A pot is soft food for people with no teeth left, and the old people here have got nothing. A pot means you can cook something that isn't a solid, and if you've never in your life had anything but raw meat and fire meat, then soup is not a meal. Soup is a whole new form of matter. And to make one, you need proper clay. Good clay. Otherwise, the whole thing cracks in the fire and you've wasted a week. And clay is everywhere, as long as you're near water. So I call Heihu and we go digging. And first I make 2 big carrying baskets out of thin rattan, which takes about half an hour, and hand him one. And this is how it goes with me and this guy from now on. I say a word he's never heard, and he picks up a basket, and off we go. And where there's clay in quantity. And it doesn't take long before both baskets are full, and we start hauling home. And on the way, we swing past the traps to check them. And from a distance, we can see the branches over the pit are gone, and both of us start grinning like idiots. A wild boar, over 200 pounds, in the hole, full of blood, bamboo spears through it from underneath. Dead before it knew what the ground was doing. And it takes 2 of us a serious amount of effort to drag that thing out, and Heihu just stares at it. He cannot process it. He has hunted his entire life. He has watched friends die hunting. He has been on hunts where 14 men came home with 1 goat and 4 bodies. And the whole did it. While we were somewhere else, doing something unrelated. We didn't hunt this animal. We put a shape in the ground and went about our day. So I reset the trap and cover it again. And Heihu comes back with vines, and we tie the legs and run a spear through and shoulder it, and we go home fast. And when the tribe sees us come in carrying a black wild boar the size of a motorcycle, they start dancing, right there, on the spot, jumping and dancing in the dirt. And I have to tell you what that's about, because it's not the meat. The Luoshui Tribe eats meat once every few days. That was the good version. That was the number when things were going well, and getting that number cost them a goat hunt where 4 men died. And now the kid and the fast guy walked out from mud and came back with 200 pounds of pork like it was on the way. So I put the women on the boar, clean the hair off it, and I dump the clay straight into a pit, and I start stomping. And the entire tribe stops working to watch, because nobody has the first idea what I'm doing. And at this point, my track record is such that when I start stomping mud in a hole, 20 people gather around to find out what mud is for. And Fang comes over. "Wei, what are you doing? We have plenty of mud right here. Why did you go dig somewhere else?" "This is called clay. It's for making pottery." And then Sang Hu wanders over too. "Is this really okay? Can you make pottery?" And I get why they're asking, because to them, mud is mud. It's the ground. It's the same everywhere. It's under your feet. It's the most worthless substance in the world. And I walked past all of it for half an hour in each direction, carrying a basket to get a different mud. They don't have a word for materials. Nobody's ever told them that the ground isn't one thing, that some of it makes walls and some of it makes bowls and some of it makes nothing at all, and that the difference between those is the difference between a camp and a civilization. Ask me what a tribe does the first time it sees water boil. And the whole tribe crowds in, wanting to know what's so special about 2 baskets of dirt. This is clay. It's for making pottery. And you can stew meat in it and cook wild vegetables. And every pair of eyes in that circle lights up. Not at pottery. Nobody knows what pottery is. They lit up at stew. And they don't have a word for that either, but they understood the shape of it immediately. Because these are people who think about food the way drowning people think about air. So I sit down and start shaping. 1 pot, then 20 bowls, then 2 more pots, 20 bowls. 1 per person near enough. Because I'm not building a pot, I'm building a table, and there's a difference. And everybody in this camp is about to find out what it is. And I have no idea how many survive the fire. If 6 out of 10 make it, I'll call that a good day. And here's the sales pitch I give them, and I want you to hear the actual numbers, because they're the whole reason this matters. Meat in a pot isn't just tastier. You get the soup, all the fat, all the marrow, everything that currently drips into the fire and turns into a nice smell and nothing else. That's calories. Those calories are being thrown away every night into the dirt by people who are starving. Throw in some wild vegetables, some mushrooms, and the roast that feeds 10 people, stewed, feeds 15. That's a 50% raise on the food supply from a bowl. And for these people, that's not a convenience. Let me tell you what the actual mechanism of death is around here. Every winter, people starve, especially in the small tribes. Every year, some of them just don't come out the other side of it, and everybody knows which ones are most likely, and nobody says it out loud. Food is the only thing. It's not the most important thing, it's the only thing. And everything else in this world, the raiding, the fighting, the wolves, the wolf tribe's entire business model, is downstream of the fact that there isn't enough. And I just told them I can make the same animal feed half again as many of them. So they dance. Of course they do. Everybody together, arms up, legs going, jumping around like maniacs. And that's how it works here. Happy happens, so you dance, immediately, no discussion. And I cannot appreciate it. I want to be a bigger person about this, and I can't. It looks like a chaotic mess from the 1980s. There's no rhythm, there's no plan. It's 20 starving people flailing at the sky, and it goes on for a while. And I stand there with mud on my hands, watching my entire nation lose its mind over a bowl that doesn't exist yet. And I finish the pottery fast, because there's a catch. You can't fire it right away. Fresh clay has to sit for a few days, or it deforms and cracks in the heat, and the whole batch is gone. And I need a serious amount of charcoal. So the pots go on a shelf to dry, and that's tomorrow's problem, and I go eat. And at dinner, the chief and the shaman make a decision, because they've been talking. And the thing they keep coming back to is that ever since this kid woke up, he has been a completely different person. And I want to be fair to them. They're not wrong. That's the most accurate observation anybody in this valley has ever made about anything. And they run the list. Divine fire, cooked food, the spear thrower, traps, walls, and a wolf pack turned back with 1 bitten arm. And every single one of those things landed on this tribe like a brick through a window. And they've all had the same effect. The people believe, not in the ideas, in the kid. And the 2 of them come to the same conclusion at the same time, and it isn't complicated. Only under Li Wei does this tribe get strong. So they stand up in front of everybody and announce it. From this moment, Li Wei is the leader of the Luoshui Tribe. And I did not see that coming. Genuinely, I thought I was doing well. I thought I'd graduated from fruit-picking boy to useful. I did not think the chief was going to stand up over dinner and hand me the entire tribe. And in the crowd, Mei Lin's looking at me with her whole face lit up, quietly delighted. And she's not surprised at all, because she got there first. She's known since the cave. She figured it out while everyone else was still deciding whether fire was a god. And I say, no. I want that on the record too. My first answer was no, and it was the honest answer. Because look at what's standing here. 14 years old, about 1.7 meters, thin as a rope, no strength. Among these people, I am a weakling. That's not modesty. That's the objective local assessment. Put me next to any man in this camp, and I'm the one you'd bet against, and everybody knows it, and they're right. And they talk me into it anyway, and I take it. Because they're right too. I can make this tribe strong, and there's nobody else who can, and being embarrassed about it doesn't feed anybody. And my first act as chief is to rename us, because we moved. New valley, new home, new everything, and you cannot carry the old name into it. That name belongs to a camp where 4 men died over a goat, and a pack walked in through the dark. And if this tribe's going to be strong, it needs a name that means something. And everybody agrees, instantly, because they've got no attachment to the old one either. And my soul comes from a long way off, so I think about it for a second. We're the Luoshui Tribe now, and I'm not going to explain that one to them. It doesn't. Translate. It means everything to people from where I'm from, and it means nothing here, and that's fine, because it isn't for them. It's for me. It's the only piece of home I get to keep, and I just nailed it to the front of an entire nation. And now we go fast. Houses, pottery, mud brick walls, and our own pasture. Because here's the thing I cannot get out of my head. We go hunting every day, and hunting is death. Every single trip is a coin flip with everyone's life on it, and it isn't even a good coin. Sometimes you go 3-4 days and catch nothing at all, and that's normal. That's not bad luck. That's the industry standard. That's the whole economy of this world. Walk out, maybe die, maybe come back with nothing. Do it again tomorrow, forever. And I want off it. And if I can find wheat, or sweet potatoes, or rice, then food stops being a hunt and starts being a harvest, and the entire problem that has been killing these people since before anyone can remember just ends. Not improves, ends. And I'm standing there thinking about a wheat field where the boar trap is, and I start giggling, out loud, alone, like an idiot. And 20 people turn and stare at their brand new chief laughing at nothing, 30 seconds into the job, and you can watch the exact same thought go around the entire circle. Oh no, is he possessed? And I catch it, and I fix my face. I'm just thinking about the tribe's future, which was true. That's the worst part. That's exactly what I was doing. And the next morning, Huaxia goes to work like a machine. That's the phrase, and I'm keeping it. Breakfast down fast, women out for wood, some on mud, some on grass, everybody moving before the sun's properly up. 4 days ago, these people were a rounding error, asleep in the dark, waiting to be murdered. Now there's a shift schedule. And I send He Hu out to the traps, because Chang Hu still can't hunt with that arm, and that's the reality of it. Our best fighter is a passenger, and the fastest man we've got is now doing a job that used to take 14 men and a body count. One guy, walking to a hole, checking it. And I go build a kiln, mud stove against the wall, and I spend the entire morning on it and produce 3 or 4 of the ugliest kilns ever constructed by human hands. They're horrible. They look like something that grew, and they'll work, and that's the only column on the scorecard. And then the bellows. And I want to walk you through this one, because this is the part where it stops being camping and starts being engineering. Cut bamboo with a stone knife. Split it into strips. Mix the strips with mud, that's your composite, that's your material, bamboo for tension and mud for the body. Build a square box out of it, seal the back. Then polish a wooden board with a stone. Hole in the middle, small stick through the hole. Notch behind the stick, drive little wedges in. That's the piston. That's a valve and a plunger made out of a board, a stick, and some scrap. Seal the front with more bamboo and mud. Then a thumb-thick bamboo pole, one end into the back of the bellows, other end into the stove, and seal both joints with mud. And that's a bellows. Air on demand. Forced draft, which means temperature. Which means I can make a fire hotter than a fire wants to be. And that single fact is the door that everything else in this world walks through. Charcoal, pottery, and every single thing that comes after those two. 6 days ago, these people had never seen a flame. Now they've got forced induction. And the women come in with 300 pounds of wood and stack it by the fence. And making charcoal is genuinely simple. You stack the wood neatly in the kiln, you put some holes underneath, and you light it. And we don't even have to start a fire, because the tribe cooks every day now, and we just keep the embers alive, which is its own quiet little milestone, honestly. Nobody's making fire from scratch anymore. Fire is just on now, like it always was, like it's normal. And once the wood catches, I get on the bellows and pump, and it goes up like it's been insulted. And at the right moment, I seal the whole kiln shut with mud, because I don't want it to burn. I want it to burn wrong. Cut the air, and the wood can't finish the job. It can't turn into ash and smoke, so it turns into charcoal instead. Same wood, half a reaction, and the thing that comes out the other side burns hotter than the thing that went in. 3 kilns, sealed. By morning, we've got 3 batches, and by then, the pottery's dry. And I walk the site. 2 guys turning out mud bricks like a production line. 400 today. Yesterday it was 300, and nobody told them to speed up. They just got better at it, because that's what people do when they're allowed to do a thing more than once. And I look at the fence and the pile and the pit, and I make the call. The tribe is too weak. The house starts now. And I pick the spot. 200 meters from the river, so water's a walk and not an expedition. Higher ground, because water goes downhill, and I would like to not find out about that the hard way. And a fenced area next to it, for animals. I say that like it's a normal sentence. There are no animals. There's no such thing as keeping animals. I'm drawing a pen for livestock that does not exist, in a world that has never had any, and putting it in the site plan like it's already decided. It is already decided. And we don't have enough brick. Today's batch is still wet and useless. But the wounded are basically healed, which tells you the plant worked, and that's my whole medical program. Get the bleeding stopped, keep it clean, and let these ridiculous bodies do the rest. And then Sang-hu and Hei-hu come home, and you can see them from a long way out because they're carrying a wild goat, and they've each got 2 lambs under their arms. And Hei-hu picks up a stone knife and goes to cut the sheep's throat, and I stop him. And the entire tribe turns around, because in this world, an animal is meat. That's what it is. That's the whole ontology. You catch it, you kill it, you eat it, and there is no other verb available. And they're all looking at me with the exact same expression, and it's not even suspicion, it's confusion, like I stopped a man from breathing. Why would you stop him? What else is an animal for? We can raise them. When we run out of food, then we kill them. Until then, we cut grass and feed them. And I watch it land, and it lands slowly. You can see it going around the circle, person by person, and it's not excitement. It's the specific vertigo of an idea that's too simple to have been missed. It turns out goats can be fed. That's the sentence. That's the entire agricultural revolution of the Luoshui tribe, and it fits in 5 words, and every human being here has spent their whole life eating goats, and not one of them ever tried it. Because why would you? Meat's for eating, you're starving, you've got a goat. What kind of madman looks at a goat while starving and decides to wait? And the women and children take the job on the spot, delighted. Cut grass every day, feed the goats. That's it. That's the assignment, and they're thrilled. Kids and women who've spent their whole lives walking miles for sour fruit have just been given a job that's near the camp and guaranteed to work. And I teach a few guys to build a pen, and I bandage the sheep's leg where the bamboo spear got it, and I walk the goat in myself. And for the next while, people are basically living with the sheep, and nobody minds even slightly. This is a primitive society. Nobody here has a concept of a room, let alone a room a goat shouldn't be in. And the entire tribe keeps wandering over to watch it eat grass. That's the entertainment. That's the show. 20 people standing at a fence watching a goat chew, completely fascinated, because that goat is the first animal any of them have ever seen that isn't running away or trying to kill them. And in the afternoon, I take Hei-hu out looking for vegetables, and we go up the mountain instead, and I find something better. Paper mulberry. A whole stand of it. And that bark is tough, properly tough, and it makes rope and it makes ties, and, more to the point, it makes bowstring. And that's the thing that's been missing. That's the exact part that stopped me on the road here. I had the whole idea and no string, and the entire tech tree fell over on one missing component, and I settled for the spear thrower. And it's been growing on a mountain a walk from camp this whole time. So we strip a lot of it, and grab bamboo and branches on the way home. And the tribe doesn't even look up anymore. They're used to it now. The chief comes home with weird bark, and everybody just keeps working, because that's the 4th weirdest thing he's done this week, and the last 3 all turned out to be food. Cut the bamboo with a stone knife, roast it over the fire to shape it, because heat makes bamboo obey. Bend it, let it set, then arrows, several of them. And Hei-hu works the mulberry bark into cord, and together we twist a bowstring. And I string it. And it's one piece of bamboo, so let's be honest about the power. It's not a war bow. It's not going to punch through anything serious, and I draw it anyway. Whoosh! 30 meters, straight into the wood, fletching, still swaying. And nobody moves. Total silence. 20 people staring at a stick in a log. And I burst out laughing. I can't help it. I'm standing there cackling like a lunatic, because it worked, first try, and the arrow's just sitting there wobbling, and nobody in this valley has ever seen anything like it in their lives. And they come out of it slowly. And Mei Lin's looking at me from across the camp with a face I'm not going to describe, and her heart's going, and there's dirt on her cheeks so nobody else can tell, and I keep my eyes on the bow. Because we're 14, and there's a wall to build, and there's a box on a shelf called Later. And Fang gets it first, and her face lights up like she's seen the future, and I know exactly which future she's seeing, because it's the only one that matters here. Where have they ever seen a weapon like this? What happens the next time we fight another tribe? The enemy doesn't get close. That's the answer. They don't reach us. They come over the hill and we delete them at 30 meters and they never find out what happened. Every man in this tribe has spent his whole life fighting at arm's length, which means every fight he's ever had was a fight where he could also die. Every single one. and I just took distance out of a stick. And every one of them wants one. You can see it, not politely. They're staring at that bow, and every fighter here is already imagining it in his own hands, and I'm standing there, half laughing and half exasperated, because I'm one guy and I've got walls to build. So I don't make bows, I make bow makers. And I call over the 4 old men, and one of them is Old Man who in his day was a serious figure in this tribe, a real one. Everybody still says his name like it means something. And now he's old, in a world where 40 is a long life, and old means one thing here, and it's ugly. You're a mouth. Your weight. You are, in the arithmetic that runs this entire valley, a problem, and everybody's too decent to say it, and every single one of them knows it, including him. Old Man who, I'm going to teach you to make bows and arrows. From now on, you're in charge of every weapon in this tribe. And you should see them, 4 old men standing there, absolutely beaming, happy as children, genuinely, uncomplicatedly delighted, in a way grown men are not supposed to be able to be anymore. Because people like them get disliked by a tribe. That's the word for it, not hated, disliked. The slow, quiet, unspoken resentment of being the person who eats and doesn't bring anything back. And they have all felt it for years, every single day, at every meal. And I just handed them the armory. I didn't do it to be kind, I want to be straight about that. I did it because they're the only people in this camp who aren't already doing something, and because a man who's been useless for 10 years and just got handed a purpose is going to work harder than anyone alive. But it was also kind. Both things are true, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Ask me what it costs to be the only person in the world who knows what salt is. And bows aren't hard, so the old men have it almost immediately. And I bring over every bit of small bamboo I've prepared, and we pick sharp pebbles off the ground and grind them into arrowheads, because a sharpened stick bounces off hide and a stone point goes in. And the target is every single person armed, not the hunters, everyone. A bow and about 10 arrows per human being in this camp, and if I get that, then with the high ground we're on, I'm confident I can turn back anything, wolves or men, doesn't matter, they don't get to the wall. And the tribe is going flat out on brick because everyone wants inside a house now. So I brief the old men and take a crew to dig foundations. And depth matters. A meter is what you want. And we're doing half because I have to move, because winter's coming and the tribe needs shelter more than it needs my standards. That's an engineering compromise, and I know exactly what I'm trading away, and I make the trade anyway. Then mortar, straight out of my grandmother's playbook. Water, yellow mud, chopped grass, tamped down until it goes sticky. And then brick on brick, scrape a layer on, brick on brick. And there aren't many of us, and it doesn't matter. A few hours, and there are 4 walls standing as tall as a man. And the next morning, I'm walking through camp, and I step on a pebble, and it goes straight into the sole of my foot, and my whole face does something ugly. And the women and children come past, carrying bundles of grass. And it hits me. That's incredibly stupid. How did I forget? This is a primitive society. I can weave straw sandals. And nobody in this valley has shoes. Nobody. Not one person. Every human being in this world has spent their entire life walking barefoot over rock and thorn, and their feet are basically leather now, and it's fine. And it's not fine, because every cut is an infection, and every infection is a coin flip, and every coin flip is somebody's mother. And I've been here almost a week, being a genius about bellows, and I forgot shoes. So I take a bundle of grass to Old Man who and start weaving in front of him. Long grass. Rub it between the palms, rope. And the old men jump straight in, and in about a minute there are a dozen straw ropes on the ground. Drive a stick in the dirt, anchor the rope to it, and weave. And the rope gets shorter, and the thing gets bigger, and then a pair of sandals. And I put them on, and they're good. They're genuinely good. And I'm the only man in this tribe with shoes, and the envy is immediate. Everybody's staring at my feet. Not the bow. The bow was impressive, but it was for hunters. Everybody has feet. Everybody has stepped on a rock this week. And the old men have it down in about 10 minutes. And that's an entire industry founded before lunch by 4 guys who were a burden. Yesterday. And then I crack the kiln. I can't wait any longer. I go over and smash the dried mud off the top. And it's a full kiln of charcoal. And I pick up 2 pieces and knock them together, and they ring. That clean, hard, bright little sound. That's how you know. That's the test. Charcoal rings. Wood thuds. And it rang. And now the real number. Charcoal by itself gets you past 700 degrees. With the bellows, over 1,000. And that's the line. That's the actual border in this world between people who eat off the ground and people who don't. And it isn't fire, because everybody thinks fire is the milestone, and fire is nothing. Fire is orange. Fire is warm. 1,000 degrees is where matter starts taking orders. So I grab a woman to work the fire and give her the details, and she gets on it, feeding charcoal into the kiln, sweating through the whole thing, and I leave her to it and go back to the house. Because the house isn't finished, and the crew is still on it. And yesterday we made over 700 bricks, and I look at that number and start planning properly. 5 rooms, 2 toilets, 2 bathhouses. Toilets, in a camp where the concept does not exist. Bathhouses, in a tribe where a man is named Hey Hu because nobody has ever washed. And my house goes in the middle, the other 4 in a corner. And that's not vanity, that's a defensive layout. Whatever comes at us, it hits somebody else's wall first, and somebody's awake, and that noise buys me the seconds I need to think and give an order and turn the whole thing around. So I build my own house last. Everyone else gets a roof before I do, and that isn't nobility either. It's just that a chief who dies comfortable is still dead. And the priority is the first house, tonight, because once we're behind mud instead of timber, we are done with this problem forever. No wolf knocks a mud wall down, no dog, no leopard. Guard the door and let them come, 100 of them, it doesn't matter. And far off, the white wolf king is watching us build it. He never left. He's been out there since the night I put a spear in him, watching, waiting, looking for the opening. Because wolves hold grudges. That's not folklore, that's just true. And they're smart. And that animal has been to our wall once and learned exactly what it is and what it cost him. And he has been sitting on that hill doing arithmetic ever since. And we have no idea he's there. We're down there stacking mud and laughing about sandals. And we burn through yesterday's brick, and the house hits about 1.5 meters. One more day. And no windows. Because winter's coming, and a window is a hole, and a hole is cold. So there's one small observation slot, 1 brick wide. You can see out, and nothing gets in. Otherwise, you're sitting in a black box with no idea what's outside, and that's the exact situation that got 6 men killed at the old camp. Then a proper door frame, and a thick wooden door. And then I build a stove inside, with a chimney. And that chimney is not a detail, because if you put a fire in a sealed mud box with 10 people in it, you don't get warm, you get a tomb. Everybody in that room goes to sleep, and nobody wakes up, and nobody ever finds out why, because carbon monoxide doesn't leave a mark, and nobody here has ever heard of air. That's the thing that terrifies me most about this entire project, not wolves. My own good idea, killing my whole tribe in their sleep on the first cold night. So, chimney, on day 1, before anybody sleeps in it. And then, a kang, a big earthen bed. Fire runs underneath it, and the whole platform holds the heat all night, big enough for 10 people to sleep on together. And it's getting dark, and I walk the camp, and Sang-Hu and Hei-Hu aren't back. They've been out since morning, all day. And I'm standing at the wall looking at the light going and doing the thing every leader eventually has to do, which is stand in one place and be completely useless about the 2 people you can't reach. And they're fine, and here's what happened. They both went to bed smiling last night because they got bows. And the traps were empty today, so they hunted, with the bows, for the first time. 5 rabbits and an antelope. And 2 dark shapes come out of the dusk toward the wall, and the whole tribe goes rigid, because it could be another tribe. And every man we've got is already up on the wall with an arrow on the string and drawn. And I need you to understand what that means. 8 days ago, these people had sticks and no idea what a bow was. And tonight, unprompted, they went to the wall and drew on a target. And here's our actual strength, and it's ugly. 8 men, including me. And Hei-Hu and Sang-Hu are outside, so there are 6 behind that wall. Everyone else is women and children. And the doctrine here is brutal, and everybody accepts it. In a real fight, a man kills a woman with 1 thrust, and a woman doesn't kill a man with 1 thrust. And life and death here turn on a single thought. And if a man loses to a woman, he runs. And if one person runs, everyone runs. And then it's not a battle anymore. It's a hunt with your back turned. So the women don't fight. Ever. That's not chivalry. That's the accumulated experience of a world that has watched what happens when the line breaks. And I've got 6 men. And then everybody recognizes the shapes, and the hearts come down out of everyone's throat. And then they see the prey, and the camp goes off. And the 2 of them come over to me, lit up like kids, telling me the whole story. How they couldn't hit anything at first. Missed and missed and missed, and then something clicked, and the first rabbit went down. And after that, they just couldn't stop. They lost track of the sun. That's what happened. They were having so much fun, they forgot what time it was. And I put my stern face on. Next time, you're back before dark. And I mean it, and I say the ugly part too, that if it happens again, they're out of the tribe. And that sounds ruthless, and I don't care, because if something takes those 2 out there in the dark, the tribe is finished, and everybody in this camp dies of a fun afternoon. And both of them know it, and they nod, and that's that. And the prey's already dead, so we're eating it either way. And that night the kiln burns out, and I set it for morning, and we post-watch, and everybody goes down hard, and nothing happens. And in the morning, I open the kiln. The pot's fine. The basin cracked. 5 bowls broke, 30 left. And I tap them, and they ring. 30 bowls, out of a first firing, from a guy who's never made pottery, in a kiln shaped like a lump, with charcoal he invented 4 days ago. I'd have taken 20. And I tell the tribe the good news, and the tribe has no idea what I'm talking about, not a clue. They don't know what pottery is for. All they've got is the chief said it cooks food, and nobody here has ever cooked anything in their life, so they cannot picture it. The concept doesn't have a shape. So they're happy because I'm happy. That's it. That's the whole reason. Their chief is delighted about some hard mud, so it must be good. And anyway, there's cooked meat this afternoon, and that part they do understand. So I get the women together and teach them. Water in the pot, lid on, cook for an hour or two, eat. And they have it immediately. First try, no confusion at all. Which, of course they do. These are people who have spent their entire lives paying attention to food. Give them a tool, and they don't need a lecture. And it's boiled meat and water and nothing else, because we have no salt. And that's not a flavor problem. Go long enough with no salt, and your body just starts switching off. You get weak, and it doesn't stop, and you don't come back from it. And the local solution? The thing that's kept these people upright this whole time is drinking animal blood. That's where they get it. That's the mineral supplement of this entire world. You kill something, and you drink from it. And that's why anybody here is still standing. And I cannot do it anymore. I have tried. I've been trying since I got here, and my body will keep raw fish down, and it will not keep that down. And I'm out of stubbornness on this one. So there's a new item on the list, and it goes near the top, right under Don't Die. Find a salt mine. And then back to the house, where the 2 bricklayers turned out over 750 yesterday, faster than ever. And that's their ceiling. Brick is heavy work, and there's a limit to what a body does in a day, and these 2 are at it. Ceiling goes on today. And it's up to about 2.78 meters, and yesterday's brick is nearly gone, and I put the whole tribe on the roof. Women cutting branches. Men up top lashing them into a frame. Women tying long grass to the branches with straw rope, 1 bundle at a time, over and over. And the men lay the straw mats across the roof, layer on layer on layer. And by afternoon, it's finished. 40 square meters. A small window on each side with a wooden board over it. And window is generous. It's an opening. It's a slot to look through. And the whole tribe knows. Word goes around in about 4 seconds, and everybody's wandering over to stare at it. And Fang comes up and asks me, carefully, whether people can actually live in it. Of course people can live here. And I walk them in, and it fills up instantly. The whole tribe crams into a 40 square meter mud box, and it's pitch black. And you can feel it go wrong. 20 people standing in a dark room they can't see the edges of, and every instinct these people have is screaming, because dark enclosed spaces are where things eat you. So I light the stove, and the room goes gold. And it's the cave all over again. Except this time, the cave is ours, and we made it out of mud. And the light in it isn't borrowed from a god. It's coming out of a thing I built into the wall on purpose. And then I put a fire under the kang, and the room gets warm, and I watch 20 faces do something I've never seen any of them do. Not delight, not excitement. They relax. And I don't think a single person in that room had ever felt that in their life. Not once, not one time, not for 1 minute. Warm and dry and enclosed, with a door and nothing in the world able to reach you. That's not comfort. That's safety, and they've never had any. And they stand there in that little glowing box looking around at the walls, and nobody says anything. And then Kang Hu's crew comes home, and they've had a day. 2 antelope in the trap, 300 pounds each, alive, no fatal wounds on either. And the beau's got a wild boar and 2 piglets. The boar is dead, about 100 pounds, and the little ones about 30 each. And everything the beau's hit is dead, and that's just how it goes. You don't catch them before they die. You catch them after they bleed out, and you follow the trail, and there they are. But the 2 antelope are alive, and that's the pasture, not meat, breeding stock, 600 pounds of walking future in a pen, and nobody has to fight a single thing for it. And here's the number I want to leave you with tonight. These people used to eat once a day. Once. That's what a day was. And since I showed up, it's twice. And I asked for 3, actually pushed for it, and the shaman shut me down, said it's too wasteful of food. And she's right, it's too wasteful of food. And she's right. That's the thing. She's completely right, because she has watched people starve every winter of her life, and no amount of antelope in a pen changes what her bones know about January. Fang is the break on this tribe, and this tribe needs a break. And the women put yesterday's leftovers in the pot to boil, and the men stand at the door and shoot. And I stand next to them and coach, accuracy first, then speed, draw and loose, over and over and over. 8 days ago, these people were blind in the dark, eating sour fruit, running from a pack with sticks in their hands. Tonight, they've got a house, a herd, a bowl, a stove, and 30 arrows in a log. Ask me what's still watching us from the hill. And everybody moves in tonight. It's cramped. 20-something people in 40 square meters is not spacious, and nobody cares in the slightest, because it is warmer and safer in there than anywhere any of them have ever been. And the old fence is a sheep pen now. 3 wild sheep and 2 antelope in it. The sheep's leg is healing, the pen's full of grass, cut by the kids, who do it every single day without being asked, because it's their job, and they're proud of it. 9 days ago, that fence was the only thing between this tribe and a wolf pack. Now, it's a barn. And I walk back into the house, and the whole tribe is standing around 3 pots, sniffing, just inhaling. 20 people leaning toward the steam, like plants toward a window. And I hand out the bowls, 1 each, and a pair of chopsticks each, made out of twigs. And the meat's been going over an hour, and it's falling apart. And when the lid comes off, the smell hits that room like a physical event. And I take my bowl first, and then I serve Fang, and then Mei Lin. And I need to explain what that is, because it looks like nothing, and it's actually me quietly rewiring the entire social order of this tribe. Because the rule here is, the chief eats first. Always. That's not greed. That's the whole visible proof of who's in charge. It's the Constitution, expressed in meat. Then the men, then the women, then the children. And the elderly eat last. Every time, forever. And with me here, everybody gets the same food. The order stays, because the order is load-bearing, and I'm not tearing it down on a Tuesday to make a point. But the portions don't change anymore. Nobody's getting less because they came later in the line. And nobody notices. That's the beautiful part. They think it's just how the pot works. And they eat like they've never eaten. And some of them don't know what chopsticks are, so they go in with their hands, into boiling stew, and they scream, and they do not let go, because the meat is right there and it's the best thing they've ever tasted, and a burned hand is a completely acceptable cost. So I lay down the law, and it's the pettiest, most important law I've made yet. Chopsticks, or you don't eat. Wash your hands, or you don't eat. And that's it. That's all it took. 20 people line up at the water and wash their hands, for the first time in their entire lives, all of them, immediately, no argument, no ceremony, and file back in to eat. Not because I explained germs. I didn't. I couldn't. There's no word for it, and it would have taken a week, and they'd have thought I was possessed again. I just attached it to the meat. That's it. That's the whole trick. Every public health measure I will ever pass in this valley is going to run on the same engine, and the engine is this, or you don't eat. And then I get to watch 20 primitive humans fight with chopsticks, and it is the funniest thing I have ever seen. Most of them cannot pick anything up, at all. They're stabbing, they're scooping, they're watching each other eat and getting visibly distressed about it. Some of them just give up and use the sticks to push the meat around the bowl and shove it into their mouths. Which, honestly, solid engineering. I'd have done the same. And Mei Lin eats 2 bowls. 2. And she's got grease all over her mouth, and she doesn't care even slightly. And I sit there, watching a girl who's been thin her whole life eat until she's full. And I'm not going to be normal about that. So let's move on. And here's the number. Food for 27 people fed 14 people tonight. That's what the pot did. That's it. That's the whole magic trick. The exact same animal. Nothing added, just water and a lid, and half the tribe's daily food requirement evaporated. And every single person in that room does that math at the same time. What we used to eat in 1 day now lasts 2, and they start shouting. Not dancing, shouting. Because dancing is for happiness, and this is something else. This is 30 people simultaneously understanding that the thing that has been killing them every winter of their lives just got cut in half by a bowl. And that night, with the kang going, everyone lies down warm, and I set the watch. 2 groups of 2, and 2 groups of women keeping the fire alive, because without fire that room is pitch black, and if wolves or men come at us in the dark inside a windowless box, we die confused. The watch isn't a guard, it's an alarm. That's all I need. Somebody awake to make a noise, and I'll do the rest. And the kang fits about 10, so the elderly, the children, and the women get it. Everyone else sleeps on hides on the floor, and nobody argues about that either. And it's more than 10 times better in there than outside, and I know exactly how much better because I've been sleeping outside. It's freezing at night, and the hides don't do it. And it's worst just before dawn, and for days I have been lying in the dark, not sleeping, and the only thing that helps at all is everybody huddling together, and nobody in this world bathes, so it smells like a crime scene. And I lie there in a pile of my own tribe, warm for the first time in a week, suffocating, and think, right, tomorrow. Tomorrow everybody washes. And that's been the whole problem. We've been so busy staying alive that hygiene never made the list. And it's going on the list. Baths, hair, and a toilet. Because right now every trip is a hike, and it is not sanitary. And I have opinions. Morning, everybody eats and gets moving, and I send Changhu and Heihu to dig 2 more traps. Because we're short-handed. Because everyone here wishes they could be 2 people. And because a trap works while you sleep, and a hunter doesn't. That's the whole doctrine of this tribe now. Build the thing that works while you're not there. And I go look at the yellow mud pit, and it's long now, really long. They've been digging clay out of it for days, and it's basically a trench. And it hits me. Fill it with water. Put fish in it. Then you catch fish when you want fish, not when the stream's feeling generous, not when it's not raining. Whenever. That's not a pond. That's another warehouse. That's the same idea as the sheep pen wearing a different hat. You don't go get food, you keep food where you live and take some when you're hungry. And it's a hole we dug by accident, doing something else entirely. And then I take 2 guys and we build toilets. I draw a circle for each of them. Dig, 1 meter deep, call me when you're done. And I pick 2 more spots for bathhouses. And we've got 800 bricks from yesterday, so we've got the material. And the motivation is entirely personal. I do not want to go outside every time, and I really do not want to step in something, because if that happens, I will be thinking about it all day, and I will not recover. And the digging goes fast, even with wooden shovels, which are just planks leveled flat with a stone knife. And it turns out that's most of what a shovel is. And we wall them up, and hang a plank door, and roof them with boards and straw mats, and floor them with planks, leaving 1 palm-width gap in the middle, so you can squat. That's a latrine. That's an actual, functional, roofed, doored, floored latrine. And the Luoshui Tribe now has 2 of them, and there is not another one on this entire continent. And then I gather everybody up and I explain how to use it. And this is, without question, the most humiliating 15 minutes of my life in either world. Because I have to stand in front of my entire nation and explain to grown adults, out loud, in detail, how to use a toilet. And the women go bright red. They're mortified. They're all looking at each other like our chief is a complete pervert, and I can see the thought forming, and there is no defense available to me. And the men do not care at all, not even slightly. Shameless, every last one of them, standing there nodding along like I'm explaining a trap. And then I worry someone's going to walk into the wrong one. So I put a stick in front of the men's. That's the signage. That's it. That's the entire wayfinding system of the Luoshui Tribe. There's a stick outside the men's room. And then I announce the penalty for getting it wrong. No food for 2 days. And the entire tribe is terrified. And you can watch every single person quietly and permanently commit that stick to memory, because these people know exactly what 2 days without food feels like, and it is genuinely unbearable. And not one human being in this valley is ever going to walk through the wrong door again as long as they live. 2 toilets, 0 incidents. Forever. And I'm not a miser about the food thing. I want to say that. I'm not withholding meals to be cruel. I just want this tribe built before something comes for it. And then 2 bathhouses, 1 men's, 1 women's, and a stick outside the men's. Same system. It works. Don't touch it. And it's getting dark, and Sanghu and Heihu come home. 2 sheep and a pig. 1 sheep alive, 100 John. 1 dead, same. And a boar, 200 pounds, still warm. And the sheep came out of a trap, hurt, couldn't walk, otherwise fine. And the boar took more than 20 arrows. 20. And they got it. And they only got it because last night I sat down and put sharp stone tips on their arrows. Bare bamboo would have bounced off that thing all day. How many traps did you dig? 3. And I laugh, and I tell them the thing I've been waiting to say since the first hole. You don't have to go hunting every day anymore. The food comes to the house now. And they're delighted. And it's a specific kind of delighted, because they dug those holes with their own hands. And now the holes feed the tribe. Every man in this valley has spent his whole life being the thing that catches the food. And these 2 just found out they can be the guys who build the thing that catches the food. And it's better, and it's theirs. So we walk the sheep to the pen and patch its leg and butcher the dead ones and save what we can't finish. And then I teach Changhu and Heihu how to use a toilet and a bathhouse, which is a conversation I have now had twice in one day. And the smell of meat comes out of the house, and their faces go stupid, and we eat, and we sleep. And the tribe has had food for days now, and it shows. Everybody's stronger, visibly. Especially the men. You can watch it happening, day by day, bodies coming back online after a lifetime of running on nothing. That's what food does. That's all it ever was. And that night, red eyes, outside the house, pairs of them. The Wolf King is here. And this time, he's got a plan. 3 wolves peel off for the sheep pen. The sheep freeze, just stand there shaking, not making a sound, because prey knows. And the king takes 20 and goes for the house. And that's the part that made my blood go cold when I found out later. He didn't just come back angry. He split his force. He sent a detachment for the livestock and led the main body at the people, because he'd been watching us for days, and he knew we had 2 things worth taking and exactly where both of them were. And 2 of his go over the wall into the pen and get an antelope, and it screams, and the rest of the sheep huddle up. And Sang-Hu is on watch, and he hears gnawing, and he looks out the slot. And there are more than 20 wolves around the house biting the walls, just working at the mud, all of them, systematically. And he wakes the tribe, and the first thing I do when I open my eyes is grab a bow and draw it all the way. Not stand up, not ask what's happening. Draw. And every man in that room does the exact same thing at the exact same moment. And I want you to sit with that, because 11 days ago, these people didn't know what a bow was. And the women and children are shaking. 20 wolves is not a joke. If that gets in, everyone in this room dies. And I think for about 2 seconds and start giving orders. Because last time we fought this animal, we had stone spears, and he didn't know what those were. Tonight, we've got something he's never seen in his life. 4 hunters at each window, 2 windows, and I'm on one of them, and we shoot in pairs. Front 2 loose, back 2 step up instantly. No gap, no pause, continuous fire out of a slot in a wall. That's not primitive. That's a firing line. That's rotating volleys out of a fortified position, invented on the spot by a food delivery driver at midnight with wolves chewing the house. And the women take the door with stone spears, hands sweating, and we wait. And every arrow has a stone tip on it now, which means they don't sting, they kill. And the pack comes in closer and closer, and they charge. Loose. 2 windows, 4 arrows, whoosh, 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 and 4 wolves go down at once, blood running down their bellies, and the pack stalls, just stops, total confusion. They cannot process what happened. Nothing touched them, nothing came at them, and 4 of theirs are on the ground bleeding. And the second volley is already in the air. 2 more hit, the fast ones dodge. And the king roars, and they go anyway, straight in, desperate now, tearing at the wooden door with everything they have. And the women in that room are shaking so hard you can hear it, because if that door goes, it's over. It's just over. And then the men remember the peephole. Whoosh, arrows through the hole in the door, point blank, into the pile, and several more wolves just drop, blood coming out of them, right there on the threshold. And the pack freezes, all of them, including the king. And I want to describe what he's actually experiencing, because I almost feel sorry for him. This animal has run this valley his entire life, and his method has never once failed. You rush in and you tear the thing apart. That's it. That's the whole strategy, and it has worked on everything. And tonight, he brought 20 wolves to a mud box, and the box killed 9 of them without ever opening. Nothing came out. Nobody fought him. There was no enemy, just a shape in the ground that hurt him from the inside, and he cannot bite it, and he cannot get in, and there is no way to get a mouth on any part of it. It's a turtle shell. And he sits there for a few seconds, and I promise you he's looking for the angle, because that's what he does. That's why he's still alive and still king, and there isn't one. And he calls the retreat. And they go, and the whole room breathes. And then the men go out and finish it. The ones on the ground that aren't quite gone get an arrow. 9 wolves. And we skin them and butcher them, and when it gets light, we cook them. And wolf tastes sour. The elders were right. It's genuinely not good. And we eat every bit of it, because food is food, and this tribe does not waste, and we have not forgotten what November is. And everyone's shooting is better this morning than it was last night. Because that's the only way it happens. You don't get good in the yard. You get good when there's something in the dark trying to get through the door. And that's true for these men, and it's true for me. And I've been through enough of these now that something in me has quietly hardened up. Nobody's born strong. You get built, one bad night at a time. And I'm standing in a doorway at dawn, made out of about 6 of them. And then we remember the bleeding, and I take Heihu and Sang-Hu and 2 hunters, and we run for the pen. And the wolves got in, blood and meat all over the ground. It's grotesque. 2 lambs and an antelope, dead, 3 alive. And it hurts, genuinely, more than the arm, more than the fence, because those were breeding stock. That was the entire future. That was the plan to get this tribe off the hunt forever, and it was 4 days old, and a wolf ate a third of it. My farm hasn't even opened. Is it closing already? Ask me what the Wolf King does when he finds out we're not the ones who lost that night. And then I stop feeling sorry for myself, because there's work. We drag the bodies out and skin them and split up what we can't eat, and we dry it over the fire. Cured meat, reserve food. Food that doesn't rot, that sits there, that's still food next week and next month. And that's a thing this tribe has never possessed in its entire history. And nobody sleeps. We work straight through to dawn on it, all of us, because a wolf killed our future, and we are going to get every last calorie back out of the wreckage. And that's the thing about last night that the Wolf King doesn't understand yet. He fed us. He came to take our herd, and he left 9 bodies and took 3. And we turned his dead into our winter. And after breakfast, straight back at it. Sang-Hu and Hei-Hu out to check the 4 traps. And the masons made 1,300 bricks yesterday. House number 2 starts today. And we don't need much grass because there's only 3 animals left, so the whole tribe piles onto construction. Women digging mud. Old men cutting grass for the livestock because we found them a second job. Men mixing. 20+ people. 2,000 bricks by lunch. And Sang-Hu's back early. 2 wild boars out of 4 traps. Both alive, both badly hurt. And I don't know if they'll make it. So I patch them with hide and tell Sang-Hu to walk them into the pen. Keep them for now. And that's the sentence that tells you where this tribe is. 200 pounds of pork walks in and I don't eat it. Because we don't have food worries anymore. Because of last night, because 9 wolves and 3 sheep died and turned into a wall of cured meat, and now I can afford to look at a live boar and see something other than dinner. 12 days ago, this tribe ate once a day. And then everybody makes brick. 4,000 in one day, plus yesterday's 1,200. 5,200 bricks ready tomorrow, and a house needs 3,000. So we build. Half a day, house 2, same as the first, then 3, then 4. And within days, 5 houses, 2 toilets, 2 bathhouses, 4 houses on the 4 corners. The big one in the middle, which is mine, built last, exactly like I said, and I moved in after everyone else was already warm. And now, the walls. And let me tell you what I'm building, because this is the moment the Luoshui Tribe stops being a camp. 3 meters high, 1.5 meters thick. You can stand on it, you can shoot from it, and nothing jumps it. Not a wolf, not a leopard, not a tiger. There is no animal alive that clears 3 meters up and 1.5 meters across. An elephant would struggle with that, and there are no elephants here, and I checked anyway. And as long as nobody opens the door from the inside, 100 men cannot get in. That's the whole point. That's what a wall is. A wall means your enemy's numbers stop mattering. And in a world where the wolf tribe's entire power is that they have 100 people and you have 30, a wall is not a defense. A wall is the end of their business model. And it's a monster of a project. So the whole tribe goes at brick day and night. And I build cranes, 2 of them, out of wood. Just levers, that's all they are. That's the whole technology, a beam and a pivot. And they lift 1 or 2 bricks at a time. And a brick's about 10 kilos, and lifting 10 kilos 3 meters up a wall a few thousand times is the difference between finishing this thing and breaking every back in the tribe. And the mix is better now too. Weeds, gravel, and wood ash. And once that dries, rain doesn't touch it. And more than 10 days go by, and the wall goes up over 100 meters. And here's the plan, and I want you to hear the scale of it because I've stopped thinking small. 4 walls, over 200 meters each, 800 to 900 meters total, enclosing the houses, and leaving land inside for growing crops. Growing crops. I'm walling in farmland. For a farm that doesn't exist, for seed I haven't found, in a world with no agriculture, and I'm doing it now because I am not tearing this wall down in 2 years to make room. Because this tribe has to grow. That's the whole thing. Get stronger, get more people, because there's danger on every side and 30 people don't survive it. And only that way does civilization actually develop. And then, and this is the part I don't say out loud because there's nobody here who'd understand it, then you can have rule of law. That's what I'm actually building. Not a wall. I'm building the conditions for a thing that has never existed on this continent. And step 1 is a mud rectangle. And step 2 is enough people inside it that they need rules more than they need fists. And that's my life now. Wall in the morning, hunt in the afternoon, grow the pasture, and the traps are catching less and less, which is exactly what should happen. We've been harvesting one valley hard for weeks, and the animals are learning, and the easy ones are gone. That's not a slump, that's a ceiling. And it means the hunt was always going to run out, and the pasture was always going to be the answer. So I build slings, and specifically so the prey doesn't die, because a dead boar is dinner and a live one is a herd, and I need breeding stock more than I need meat now. And Huaxia's days are archery, slinging, hunting, and pasture. And the pasture is over 30 sheep and a dozen pigs. 30 sheep. I go out and look at them, and I cannot keep the smile off my face, and I don't try. Because 2 weeks ago, a wolf ate a third of my herd, and I stood in the blood and thought the farm was finished before it opened. And now there's over 40 animals in there. And here's our actual strength. 8 men, plus me. That's it. That's the entire military of the Luoshui Tribe. So I split the hunting team in two, 4 and 4. Tsang Hu leads Group 1. I take Group 2. Hey Hu's with me. And the food's been so good lately that everybody's stronger and thicker and properly muscled, and even the women have put on weight, which in this world is not a joke, it's a victory report. That's the single most important sentence in this entire episode. That's what all of it was for. And today Group 1's out hunting, and Group 2 is on the wall, and a dozen figures are coming across the valley, quietly. Let me set the table on how this world works, because it isn't malice. Primitive people fight over food and women. That's it. That's the whole catalog of war. There are peaceful tribes out there, sure, and a tribe that can push others around is not one of them, because why would you be? There are no laws here. There's one rule, and everybody follows it. The strong live. And this dozen comes up on us and stops, and stares, because they cannot make sense of a single thing they're looking at. What are these people doing? Why is everyone playing with mud? What are those 5 shack things? They're walking around our settlement completely bewildered, poking at it, and I love this so much. A dozen armed men came here to rob us and got distracted by architecture. And then they see the pasture, and their eyes light up, because there are 30 sheep and a dozen pigs standing in a pen doing nothing. And to these men, that is not livestock. That is the largest pile of meat any of them has ever seen in one place, and it isn't even running away. And then they count us. 4 men, the rest women. And here's who they are, because it matters. They've been out hunting for days and caught nothing. Nothing. Stones, spears, and rocks, that's their arsenal. That's the same arsenal we had a month ago, and their weapons are so far behind that catching anything in this valley is close to impossible. They're not raiders, they're starving men who found something easier than hunting. And they're right, it is easier. That's the whole horror of this world in one sentence. And their leader gives the pep talk, and they pick tactics fast, and they charge, and dozens of stones come in, and a couple land right in front of me. And I look up, and there are more than a dozen men coming across open ground at my house. Everyone inside, now! And the women and children go straight for the mud houses, and Group 2 doesn't need telling twice. Draw, loose. And a rock catches one of my men, and he screams, and I drag him toward the room myself, and Hey Hu and the others pull back the way I taught them, shooting the whole way, walking backwards, arrows going out, and the 2 sides trade across the yard, and Group 2 makes it into the house. And here's the butcher's bill on that exchange. Us, 1 man, fractured shoulder blade. Not serious. Them. 2 men on the ground with arrows in them, screaming, bleeding out in our yard. And that's the whole reason we're alive. Because ever since the wolves, every single one of us carries a bow at all times. While working, while hauling mud, while building a wall in the sun with our hands full. Nobody put it down. Not once. Not for weeks. That's not paranoia. That's the tax this world charges. And we paid it every day. And this afternoon, it paid out. Because a dozen men ambushed us with rocks from open ground, at a moment when we had 4 men on site, and they still lost 2 before they reached the wall, and not one of us was ready, and all of us were armed. Ask me what a starving man does when he finds out the easy meat has arrows. 1 took Hey Hu's arrow in the thigh, the other took 1 in the shoulder, and both of them are on the ground bleeding hard, and the other 8 see it and charge. Spears up, straight at us, and I understand exactly why. 2 men down and no visible enemy is unbearable. You have to close. You have to get your hands on something. That's the only answer their entire lives have ever given them. And Group 2 answers. Draw. All at once. Swoosh. Swoosh. 4 bamboo arrows. 2 men down on the spot. And the remaining 6 just stop, standing in our yard staring at a mud house completely lost. 4 of theirs are on the ground, and the house has not opened. And that's when I take Group 2 out the door. Because here's the thing about a wall. It's only worth anything if you know when to leave it. They're stalled, they're confused, their momentum's gone. Volley, 2 more down. And the last 4 come at us anyway, spears out. And their leader is good. 1 horizontal sweep of his stone spear, and he bats 2 arrows out of the air, genuinely, in flight. A man with a sharpened rock on a stick swatted bamboo out of the sky at a dead run. And the 2 men beside him are not that good. At 10 meters, anybody who can draw a bow cannot miss, and both of them go through, clean, all the way, and they open up, and it's ugly, and the yard's a mess. And Group 2 closes with the last 2 with arrows on them at point blank. 8 out of 10. wounded and on the ground. That's the Luoshui Tribe. That's what a bow does. And here's the arithmetic, and I want you to actually try this at home. A rock goes 30, 40 meters. An arrow goes 70, 80. Go pick up a rock the size of your fist and throw it 100 meters. Go on. You get one. Maybe. And then you're done. Your shoulder's finished. You're bent over. That's your whole contribution to the battle. And a bow does it 5 or 6 times. That's not a better weapon. That's a different species of fight. An inch longer is an inch stronger, and we're not an inch longer. We're 40 meters longer, and they never touched us. And there are still 2 standing. Put the weapons down and get on the ground or I shoot. And they're shaking, legs going, looking at their friends face down and bleeding out and not knowing which ones are dead. I say it 3 times, and they drop the spears and go down, and Group 2 ties them. And Fong and the women come out now the danger's past, and everybody gathers around me, and nobody knows what to do. And Hei Hu asks it straight out. What do we do with them? Do we kill them? And I've got nothing. I want to be honest about that. I have never done this. There's no answer in my head. I'm a food delivery driver, and I have 10 wounded prisoners in my yard, and my entire tribe is looking at me, waiting for a word. So I stall by being clever, which is my whole personality. Tie them up, 2 at a time, legs together. And here's the trick. You tie 2 men's ankles to each other, and now they can't run. Not because they're weak, because they'd have to lift the same foot at the same instant, forever, in sync. And if they try to run separately, they both go down. You don't need a cage, you don't need guards, you just need 2 men who can't agree on a leg. And Fang and the rest just stare at me, and I can read the exact thought going around that circle, word for word. Our chief is ruthless. And then I have Fang treat their wounds, all of them. Panax Nota ginseng powder, the good stuff, the same thing I put on Sang Hu's arm the night I met him. On the men who came here an hour ago to kill me and take my women. And I'm not going to dress it up as mercy, because it isn't, quite. If those wounds get infected, they die. That's the coin flip in this world, and I'm not spending medicine out of the goodness of my heart. They attacked us. Not killing them is already generous. And when they heal, they build my wall. These men are slaves of the Luoshui Tribe now. And that's what I am now. Let's not look away from it. 12 days ago, I was crying over a goat's leg. This afternoon, I put 8 men on the ground and turned the survivors into labor, and I did the math on their medicine like it was an invoice. And I do it again. That's the part I want you to hear. Because the alternative was letting 10 hungry men walk back to their tribe, knowing exactly how many of us there are. And in the afternoon, Chung Hu gets back and walks into a yard full of blood and finds 10 prisoners. And I tell him what happened, and he and his whole crew go incandescent because they were out in the field while somebody came for the women and children. And Group 1's haul is 10 live sheep and 5 wild boars, all caught by sling, all alive. The slings work. So the women drive them into the pasture, and now the tribe's got 10 more mouths, who eat half rations. Not cruelty, physics. A man on half rations doesn't have the strength to run, and I have 8 men in my camp who tried to kill me this morning, and I am not being sentimental about their portion sizes. And I don't know if the wounded live. As long as it doesn't go septic, probably. The gut-shot one is the worst. He might not make the night. And their leader is staring at me, vicious. So I walk over and kick him to the ground. And that's not a good look. I know it isn't. But every single person in this camp is watching, and 8 of those people are prisoners, and I need exactly one thing to be clear right now, and it isn't kindness. And then I put them to work immediately. The 2 unhurt ones dig mud. The lightly wounded polish stones into spear points and arrowheads. The badly hurt get locked in a hut to heal on their own. And I have just handed my weapons production line to the men who attacked me. And now I've got a real problem. We're short-handed, and slaves need guarding. And if they escape or turn on us, that's a disaster. And every man I have is either hunting, building, or asleep. So I build an army out of what's left. The women's squad. 6 women. The tall ones, the strong ones, and they want it. That's the thing nobody expected. The women of this tribe have wanted to contribute for their entire lives, and this world has never once let them. And there's one they call the courtesan, who's the size of Kang Hu. Same height, same build. Standing there next to the strongest man in the tribe like a matched pair. She's the captain. And Hei Hu trains them. Archery, sling, assassination, running, assassination. For the record, that's on the curriculum. That's a class the women of the Luoshui Tribe now take. And it's the same program everybody does, because in this tribe, there is one standard. And now, Luoshui has 3 squads. Group 1 under Kang Hu. Group 2, mine, with Hei Hu as vice captain. And when I'm not there, he runs it. That's official now. And the women's squad. Remember when the doctrine of this entire world was that women don't fight, because if one breaks, everybody runs? I just made 1/3 of my army out of them. And here's the whole nation, on paper. 31 people, 4 elderly, 6 children, 7 adult men, 14 women. That's it. That's the Luoshui Tribe. Plus 10 slaves. Minus 2, the gut-shot ones didn't make it. 8 left. The other 6 are healing well, and they'll be on the wall soon. And I go ask the leader why. Why did you come back? Why rob us? They're the Stone Tribe, named that because their place has a lot of stones. And that's it. That's how naming works here. You look around, you see rocks. Congratulations, you're the Stone Tribe. Meanwhile, I'm over here naming mine after a civilization from another planet and feeling clever about it. They came out hunting because they were short of food. 3 days, nothing, not one animal. And then they saw us. And they didn't want to rob us. That's what he says. And here's the thing. I believe him. They saw 30 sheep and a dozen pigs standing in a pen, and they hadn't eaten all day, and something in them just went. He says it plainly. When people are driven by hunger, other tribes' lives stop being real. And there were only 4 men here. 10 against 4 is nothing. And then 8 of them were on the ground in a single exchange. How many are left in your tribe? 40. 20 men, 15 women, 5 children. And please, let us go home. And here's what I actually said. You'll never dare rob Luoshui again, sure. But you don't get to attack a tribe and then just leave. Because if we hadn't had bows, we'd be dead. All of us, this morning. And then the Stone Tribe takes our women and kills our men and our children. And that isn't me being dramatic. That's the standard outcome. That's what he came here to do. That's what the plan was when he gave that pep talk in the grass. And I'm not a god. You fought, you lost, and now you want to go home. Not killing you is already very merciful. And if I let you go, you bring 20 men back. Do you think I'm an idiot? And that's the real reason. And it's not vengeance. It's a clock. Because their chief is missing, and 20 men are sitting in the Stone Tribe waiting for him, and sooner or later, they come looking. That's guaranteed. That's not a risk, that's a schedule. 20 men, plus the Wolf Tribe, which is 100, and which is still out there, and I've got 7. I have to build this tribe now, not soon, now. Because if either of those two shows up before the wall closes, we don't lose a fight, we don't get to have one. And another 100 meters of wall goes up today, because the 8 Stone Tribe men are on it. And it is noticeably faster. Of course it is. I doubled my labor force this afternoon by getting attacked. And the rotation runs, 1 squad hunting, the others training and building. And the wall is 200 meters long now. And I stand there and look at it, and I'm just thrilled, genuinely, stupidly. Because I planned that. That came out of my head. 200 meters of wall that will outlive everyone standing here. And a month ago, it was a thought I had while feeding sticks to a fire in a cave. And then I go straight back to being unsatisfied, because that's my whole condition. How do I make these people stronger? Iron's out, can't. Don't even know where ore would be. The Yellow River Valley is a plain. Not many stones, plenty of mud, that's what we've got. Barely any vegetable seed, even less grain seed. Plenty of fruit trees, and nobody eats fruit anymore, because we're not starving. We beat fruit. And salt is still the problem, and I can't keep drinking blood. I can't. It's disgusting every single time, and I'm not doing it. So the second I find a salt stone, I move immediately. And there are caravans out there, traders, moving around all year, trading with people, and I have no idea who they are or where they go because I haven't been in this world long enough to know anything, and finding them is going to come down to luck. Hold that thought. Salt and caravans. Those two are about to become this entire story. And this morning taught me something I don't like. We hit hard, and we can't take a hit. 8 of theirs went down, and we still ate a rock and got a fractured shoulder blade out of it, and that's a lucky version. Bows are offense. Bows are all we've got. Something closes with us, and we're 4 guys with sticks again. 2 options, shields or rattan armor. And there's not enough plains vine for armor, so shields first. And that's the future I'm looking at. A shield in one hand and a spear in the other. Bow at range, wall at your back, and steel, well, stone, when they close. And with enough training, that's elite squads. Actual ones, not hunters with bows. Soldiers. Ask me what happens when a tribe with no salt meets the people who sell it. And the real bottleneck isn't weapons, it's people. Without people, no amount of gear matters. I can arm 7 men with the best kit on this continent, and I still have 7 men. And the wall's flying now, because the 8 Stone Tribe men are on it. And a squad guards them every single day. That's a permanent tax on my strength. 1 whole team, forever, standing there watching men stack bricks. And the weather's turning. Winter's coming, and this tribe needs to be hunting like it's a job, because I have seen what November does here, and I have 39 mouths now. So I send Kong Hu out with orders. dig more traps, and when you're out there, bring back stones, and bring back seeds. Seeds. In a world where nobody plants anything. I've got a hunting party under standing orders to pick up plants they don't recognize, because somewhere out there is the thing that ends the hunt forever, and none of us know what it looks like. And the squads train every day, and they train against each other. 2 teams, wooden spears with hide wrapped over the tip, and they go at each other for real. That's not drill. That's not repetition in a yard. That's men who have been in 3 fights this month trying to actually kill each other with padded sticks. And it's the single best thing I've built, because the only thing that has ever made these people better is almost losing. And the old men run production, pottery, and shields every day, teaching what I taught them. And every squad is the same now. 2 bows, 2 shields and spears, offense and defense in the same 4 men, reach and a wall. And the shields changed everything instantly. And somebody's going to ask why I didn't make them earlier. Because I'd never fought people before. That's it. That's the whole answer, and it's embarrassing. I'd fought wolves, and wolves don't throw rocks. It never crossed my mind that an enemy would have ranged weapons, because in my head, primitive meant gets close. And then a man broke my guy's shoulder blade with a rock from 30 meters. And only then did I take it seriously. That's how I learn, every single time. I don't see it coming, I get hit, and then I fix it. And there are over 30 traps around this tribe now. Each one catches a dozen or so over time. And today, one squad brought back over 40 animals, 24 out of the traps. 40 animals in one day, by 4 men and some holes. And Huaxia plus the slaves is 39 people, and we eat about 2 sheep a day, and the blood gets shared out among everybody because that's where the salt is, and that's the only reason anyone here is still standing upright. And the food supply is comfortable. Let me say that again, because 6 weeks ago, 4 men died over 1 goat. Comfortable. And the squad brought back seeds, and saplings, and stones, and vines, and the pasture is over 100 animals now, 115 pigs and sheep, 20 rabbits, and I built a second pasture inside the walls and moved everything into it because I'm not losing another herd to a wolf with a plan. And I go through the plants, and there's a pumpkin, and I nearly lose my mind because that's not a vegetable, that's a staple. That's calories, that's bulk, that's a thing you can build a winter around, and pumpkins are easy, and pumpkins are everywhere, and a pumpkin doesn't run away. And then I see mountain hemp, and my heart starts going, because hemp is rope, real rope, proper. Rope, not twisted grass, and it's cloth, and it's fishing nets. And a fishing net is not a fishing tool. A fishing net is the end of standing in cold water for an hour to feed 20 people. A net feeds a town. And the rest of it's junk. The stones are just stones, nothing. 2 things out of a whole haul, and both of them are the future. And the next morning, I take a squad straight back out to where the hemp came from, and there's a lot of it, and we cut for hours with stone knives until it's nearly cleared, and then I dig more of it up and plant it outside the walls. Next year, we harvest. Next year. I'm standing in a field with a plant nobody here has a word for, putting it in the ground for a harvest that's 12 months away, in a tribe that 6 weeks ago couldn't see in the dark. That's the first thing anybody in this valley has ever planted. And we check the traps on the way home, and there's less than there used to be, and it's not bad luck, it's us. We've overhunted this valley, that's just true. We've taken too much, too fast, and the animals are gone, or wise. Once the wall's done, we range further. And we still pull 6 wild boars and 5 goats, and a wolf, and it's not going to live. Its injuries are far too bad. And it's in the trap, baring its teeth at us anyway, torn open, dying, and it's still snarling. And Sanghu puts a spear through its neck, and it howls, and it goes down, and its fur goes red. And that's the end of it. And there's a sheep in the trap with it, and it takes us a second, and then we get it. The wolf was chasing the goat, and they both fell in. The hole didn't care. The hole doesn't know what a predator is. Both of them ran across the same branches at the same speed, and the ground took them both. And the wolf spent its last hour in a pit next to its own dinner. That's the most this-world thing I have ever seen. So we reset the trap and lay grass on top, the kind sheep like, and we drive the whole haul home. And we don't get far. And there's fighting in the mountains, and we go straight over and we watch from cover. 6 men chasing 2, and the 6 have chicken feathers on their heads and red dye on their bodies and hides at their waists. And that's a big tribe. That's what that means. That's a uniform. That's an outfit that says we have enough spare time and spare people to decorate ourselves, and no small tribe on this continent has ever had either. And the 2 they've cornered do not look afraid, and one of them is a woman, and she's got a stone spear, and she is very clearly not new to this. And the man is 2.3, 2.4 meters tall. Let me repeat that. 2.4 meters. Muscle stacked on muscle, holding an axe, standing between 6 armed men and the woman behind him. That is a top-tier warrior. That is the single most dangerous human being I have seen since I arrived in this world. And he swings, and a man blocks it with a stone spear, and the spear snaps in half, and the man's stomach opens up, and everything in it goes on the ground. And Tsang Hu and I are just staring, because we've been out here thinking we were getting strong. We've got bows, we've got shields, we beat 10 men this month. And that guy just cut a man in half through his own weapon. And the woman's holding 2 of them by herself. She thrusts, one dodges, and the second comes at her side, and she's already moving, out of the way, clean. And the big man's just killed somebody, so his blood's up, and the last 3 go at him anyway, and he cleaves another spear in 2, and his own shirt splits from the force of it. Both of them put too much into it, and the other 2 go white, because their weapons are cracking in their hands, because they're watching their gear come apart against a man who is not slowing down. And he swings again and takes a man's arm off, straight off, and the blood goes everywhere, and the man goes down writhing. And that's when one of them puts a spear through the big man's thigh from behind, and the woman's there instantly, holding him up. And the 4 left just pick their spears back up. Their friend is on the ground with no arm, and they don't even look at him, no reaction at all. They just level their weapons again. That's the Tao Tie. That's what we're looking at. That's who these people are. Yunxi, go. I'll hold them. And the Tao Tie answer him. None of you from the Firebird tribe will escape. And she demands to know how they found them. How did the Tao Tie tribe know our route? You only got us with a sneak attack. How else would you ever hunt us down? And their leader won't say. You don't need to worry about how. Just know you're all going to die here today. And that's not banter. That's an intelligence leak, and she knows it. And it's the last thing she'll ever get to report. Yungxi, go. Jin Chang, we go together. And here's who they are. Jin Chang is the chief of the Firebird clan, and she's Yunxi's, and the word the source uses is master and servant, and it doesn't cover it. Because Jin Chang has been at her side since they were children. Every crisis she's ever had, he's pulled her out of. Every single one. That's the whole history between these two, and it's about to end in a clearing. And Jin Chang tells her the real reason. Get back to the tribe. Tell the chief the Tao Tie are going to attack our salt mine. There are only 2,000 people at the salt mine. They cannot hold. Salt mine, 2,000 people. I'm crouched in a bush with a bow, and I have been thinking about salt every single day for weeks, drinking blood and gagging on it, promising myself I'd find a salt stone someday, if I got lucky. And a dying man just said there's a mine with 2,000 people working it. And she runs. She grits her teeth and tells the Tao Tie leader, Mang Bao, that she will kill him. And then she goes, because she knows exactly what this is worth. And Mang Bao moves to cut her off in one step. And Jen Chang slashes at him, and Mang Bao has to dodge. And 3 of them come in on Jen Chang at once, and he sweeps the axe through all 3. They came in too fast, and one of them just flies. And Mang Bao gets rattled. You can see it. He's watching a man with a hole in his leg throw grown warriors through the air, and so he goes for the leg, kicks it, and Jen Chang goes down, and the blood comes out of the wound, and Mang Bao laughs. You'll all die here today. Your Firebird salt mine is ours. And that's when Yungxi spots us. Help us! And Mang Bao's head comes around, and he sees me watching, and he gets nervous. Because he's got 3 warriors left, and one of them's got no arm, and there are strangers in the tree line who have seen everything. And he decides to kill us anyway. And here's my actual situation. I sent 3 of my squad home with the prey. It's me and Kang Hu, 2 men in a bush watching a war. This news does not get out. Kill them all. And 2 Tao Tie warriors charge us. And Kang Hu and I stand up and draw, and they have no idea what's happening. Both of them take an arrow through the neck. They don't dodge, they don't block, they don't even get to be surprised. They're just running, and then they're on the ground, and the blood comes down their necks, and after a moment, they stop. 2 of the most dangerous men in this region, deleted, by 2 guys with sticks and string. And Mang Bao sees it, and Mang Bao understands instantly what he's looking at, which is exactly why he's dangerous, and he turns and puts a stone spear straight at Jen Xiang's chest, because if he's dying today, he's taking the Firebird chief with him. And Yungxi is already running back, and I shoot. And I hit Mang Bao through the arm, and that's it. The spear goes wide, and Mang Bao feels his arm come apart, and he turns and runs, because he knows with total clarity that if he stays here another 10 seconds, he is a dead man. And Sang Hu shoots and hits a tree, and the one-armed man sees the miss and runs with him. And I put a few more arrows after them and miss, and I let them go. And that's a mistake. I want to flag that now. Mang Bao is alive. He's got my arrow in his arm. He's seen exactly what my weapons do, and he's walking home to a tribe with 1,000 people in it. And Yungsi comes over holding Zhen Qiang up. "Thank you for saving us. The Firebird tribe will repay you." And then I ask who they are, and the Firebird tribe has more than 30,000 people. 30,000. I have 31. I have spent 6 weeks being extremely proud of a wall, and there is a nation out there with the population of a city, and I have never heard of them, and they have never heard of me. And Yungsi's father is the chief. And here's what happened to them. They were a caravan, transporting salt to the salt mine, and the Tao Tia found them, and Mang Bao ambushed them with over 200 men, and every single one of the Firebird caravan died, and over 200 Tao Tia died too. Read that again. Their own ambush cost them 200 men. They brought overwhelming numbers against a salt convoy, and it still cost them everything, because the Firebird do not go quietly. And out of that entire caravan, there are 2 people left, Zhen Qiang and her. And they've been running ever since, and the 6 on their tail were the last of the hunting party. And then she asks to see the bow. And I hesitate. And then I hand it to her. And she copies exactly what I did, and puts an arrow into a tree at distance, first try, and I watch her fall in love with it in real time. And I know precisely what she's thinking, because it's written all over her. If the Firebird had these, we would destroy the Tao Tia. And then she makes the offer. "Can we trade for these? We'll pay in salt stones, and pelts, and mounts." Salt stones and mounts, the 2 things I need most in this world, offered to me, in a clearing, by the daughter of a nation of 30,000 people in exchange for a stick and a string. And I don't want to make that trade. Ask me why a starving man says no to salt. Because the Firebird tribe has 30,000 people, and if I arm 30,000 people with bows, then every tribe within a month's walk is finished, including mine. Because the thing about a weapon is that it doesn't have opinions. I hand her the design, and it doesn't stay in her hands. It becomes the Firebird's, and the Firebird are not my friends. The Firebird are strangers who owe me a favor, and favors have a half-life, and 30,000 people do not. So I say no, flat. And she's disappointed, genuinely. And then she suggests she come visit my tribe, and she'll bring a large amount of salt stone. Absolutely not. How could I possibly take her home? What if she goes back and brings people? That's the end of the Huaxia tribe. 31 people, behind an unfinished wall. She'd walk in, count us in about 4 seconds, and the entire security of my nation would come down to whether the daughter of a superpower felt like it. So I changed the subject to medicine, which is my whole personality. "Let's bandage your friend properly first." And she has no idea what that word means. Bandage. She's never heard it. Because when people get hurt here, the shaman chews a plant and slaps it on, and then it's up to fate. That's the entire medical system. That's it. There's a plant, and there's luck. And their high priest isn't with them. So Yungshi, daughter of a nation of 30,000, is standing over a man she's known her whole life with a hole in his thigh, and she has absolutely no idea what to do about it. "Do you know how to bandage wounds?" And then I go strip a dead Tao Tia, roll him over, tear the hide off him, and use it, because he's not using it. And because I'm not walking Jin Chung home on ceremony. And I find agrimony, crush it, pack the thigh, and wrap it, and the wound's deep. He's going to be off his feet a long time. "Thanks." And I give him a smile, and I mean it. Because 30 minutes ago, I watched that man cut a warrior in half while bleeding out, and now he's sitting in the dirt, letting a 14-year-old stranger tie a dead man's coat around his leg. "Next time I'll bring you saltstone. How do I find you?" "Adam Adictes, right here. And don't bring too many people." And she understands immediately. She doesn't argue. She doesn't take offense. She gets it instantly, because she knows exactly what the Firebird are, and she knows what 30,000 people showing up looks like from the other side. And she asks my name, and I tell her, Li Wei, 10 days. And she walks Zhen Qiang home, and Sang Hu and I walk ours. And I'm a mess the whole way, because it turns out there are super tribes out here, plural, Firebird with 30,000. The Tao Tia, who can spend 200 men on a single ambush and shrug. The Wolf tribe with 100, who I thought were the apex of this world, and who are, on this scale, nobody. And we survived by pure blind luck. That's the truth of it. Nobody's come for us because nobody's noticed us. That's the entire defensive strategy of the Huaxia tribe to date, being too small to be worth a walk. And now, I've been seen. And the pressure lands on me like a wall. Develop faster, now. Or I won't even find out how my tribe got destroyed. And then I get home, and I feel better, and I want to tell you why. Because the women's squad is fighting Heihu's team in the yard. And they're tall, and they're strong, and their strength is genuinely not less than the men's. 3 with shields and wooden swords in front, 3 with 2-meter spears behind. That's a formation. That's shields forward and reach behind, which is the oldest good idea in the history of my entire species, and they figured it out on their own while I was away, because I gave them shields and spears and let them fight each other. And the courtesan charges straight in, and Heihu's got 3 men because I'm not there, and the spears come through at him and his 2, and he gets the shield up, and she puts a spear straight at his chest, and the shield rings. And I stand there watching, and I'm not impressed. I'm annoyed, because it's too simple. They're attacking or they're defending, that's it. That's all anybody's doing. The shield men hide behind shields, the spearmen poke, and nobody does both, and on a real battlefield, that gets every one of them killed. So I stop it and teach them the thing that actually matters. When someone attacks you, you don't just hide behind the shield, you put the spear out at the same time. 10 of you, in a line, shield in the left, spear in the right, both together. You block him and you gut him in the same motion. And practice as a team, not as individuals. On a battlefield, if every one of you only looks after himself, you can have the best gear in the world and you will still all die. And it lands. You can see it go through every single one of them at once, because these are people who have spent their entire lives in a world where a fight is a bunch of individuals doing their best in the same clearing, and I just told them they can be one thing. And then I go ask Tsang Hu how many animals are in the pasture, and he can't tell me, because primitive people cannot count. And he talks, for a long time, gesturing, explaining, getting more elaborate, and I stand there with my head slowly filling with static, watching the strongest man in my tribe try to describe a number using only vibes. So I go count it myself, about 170 animals. And that's a crisis, because you cannot cut grass for 170 animals. You'd need the entire tribe on grass duty full-time, and it still wouldn't be enough. The whole nation reduced to serving a herd. So I tie all the sheep's necks together with straw rope in a line, and every day someone walks the whole string out to graze. And they can't escape because they'd all have to run in the same direction at the same instant. And the second a sheep panics, it runs its own way, and the whole line just locks up. A frightened flock is its own prison. And Kong Hu's face goes dark. "Chief, are you even human?" And that's fair, because he's watched me do that exact trick before. To men, 2 by 2, ankles tied, in his yard. And I just did it to livestock. Same idea, same rope, same principle. You don't need a cage, you need a group that can't agree on a leg. And Kong Hu is standing there, realizing his chief looks at prisoners and sheep and sees the same engineering problem. And the wall's about halfway, 400 more meters, and it's closed. And the slaves work in pairs, roped hand and foot, short rope, walk too fast and you both go down. So I'm not worried about them running. And a squad watches them every day, patrolling with bows, occasionally helping with the wall. And if anyone runs, they shoot. And here's the part that I did not expect. They work hard, genuinely, every day. And it's not just fear of the bows, although they've seen exactly what the bows do, and that's a factor. It's that they couldn't get a full meal in their own tribe. We work them and we feed them twice a day. And in the Stone Tribe, they were hungry, all the time, forever. That was their whole life as free men. And here they're not. They've lost their freedom. And they've stopped being hungry. And I don't think a single one of them has fully worked out how he feels about that trade. And I'm not going to be soft about how they got here. They came to steal our food. They came ready to kill our people. That was the plan when they charged. They did this to themselves. That's the whole story. If they hadn't been greedy, they'd be home. And they were starving, and hunger makes other people's lives stop being real. And I know that. And I know it. And I still keep them. And then I make rope out of the mountain hemp. Soak it for hours, peel the bark, pull the fibers, tear it down. Fix it to a piece of wood and rub it with your palms until it twists into itself. That's rope. And I hand the entire industry to the old men, and they have it in about 10 minutes. And then I take out some wool and make a carding brush out of bamboo and comb the wool back and forth until it's clean and aligned. Then a stick, small hole in the top with a stone knife, a piece of wood tied to the bottom for weight. And I hold a tuft of wool and start spinning it, and the wool becomes yarn. That's a drop spindle. That is the single most important machine in the history of human beings, and it is a stick with a rock on it. And it turns fluff into thread, and thread into cloth, and cloth into a world where nobody freezes. And these people have been eating goats for generations and throwing the wool away. And the old men just stare at me. How does the chief know all of this? The chief is unbelievable. And I let them do it themselves. And rope makes clothes, and fishing nets, and ties up slaves. That's the list I give them, and I want you to notice the order I said it in, and the fact that the third one is on there at all. And then I ask Old Man Hu about the pottery numbers, and I learn who he is. He hunted bears when he was young. That's the name. That's not a nickname somebody gave a soft old man. He hunted bears, on purpose. And then Mei Lin's mother was taken by the wolf tribe, and Sang Hu took a group to get her back, and they fought the wolf tribe for her. And Old Man Hu's leg was destroyed in it. Took forever to heal. Never healed right. He's limped ever since, and from that day he could not do a single thing for this tribe. Not hunt, not fight, not carry. And Mei Lin's mother was killed anyway. They lost. That's what happened. They went to get her back, and they lost, and they came home with nothing. And one of them left his leg out there, and he's been the useless old man ever since, for years, sitting in a starving camp being a mouth that eats, watching the tribe get smaller, knowing exactly what everyone was too polite to say. Because he went to save a woman he couldn't save. And now I understand what I did when I handed in the armory. I thought I was being efficient. I thought I was using idle hands. I gave a man back the thing the wolf tribe took off him. And Mei Lin lost her mother to those people, and her father spent his life running a starving tribe and had nothing left over to give her. And that's the whole reason she's been standing at the edge of every scene in this story, watching everyone else. And I'm grateful to Old Man Hu. They didn't save her. They tried, all of them, with sticks against 100 people in the dark, and it cost them a leg, and it didn't work. And I swear it right there, quietly, to myself. I am going to destroy the wolf tribe. And then I make a decision. We wipe out the stone tribe first. And here's the cold arithmetic. We took their men. 2 of them died. That's blood. That's permanent. There is no version of this where that gets forgiven. And when their chief doesn't come home, they come looking. That's not a maybe, it's a date. And I don't know what day it is, and that's the problem. A big fight is coming either way, so we go first. Because if it happens on my ground, on their timing, with 20 men who know exactly where my walls are, I lose. And the troops are almost done training. And I put it to the tribe, and Fang says no, says it's too risky, says the stone tribe still has nearly 20 men and we can't beat that. And she's doing what she always does, which is why I keep her. And Sang Hu and the men are all in, and we go. Tomorrow morning, their chief says east, 2 suns. 2 suns is 2 days, because these people can't count, so they count the sun. That's the calendar. That's the clock. That's the whole system of time on this continent. How many times does it come up before you get there? And that night we prep. Slaves locked in the earth house. 5 days of rations, which is dried meat strips, because that's what rations are here, and 6 weeks ago the concept didn't exist. 11 people. 3 from the women's squad, plus 2 full teams, and I lead it, personally. 20 arrows each, every head ground from stone, and the rope comes in. Because tonight, we work through the night, and we upgrade every bow in this tribe. Single-piece bows become double-layered, 2 staves bound tight together with a new hemp rope, and pheasant feathers on the arrows, because weeks ago, I told Kang Hu that if he ever saw chicken feathers out there, bring them home. And he did. And he had no idea why. And now the arrows fly straight. And we give it to Kang Hu to test, and Kang Hu is over 2 meters tall and 200 kilos. He picks it up, weighs it in his hand, draws. And the arrow goes over 100 meters and hits a tree, and the fletching is still shaking. And nobody says anything. Every mouth in that camp is open, and I cough, and everybody snaps out of it. 100 meters. That bow kills a man at over 100 meters, and we make 20 of them before sunrise. And I put the courtesan in charge of the tribe, and my order is exactly this. If a slave runs, shoot him. No hesitation. Ask me what a delivery driver looks like leading 11 people to erase a nation. And at first light, we go. Shield in the left, stone spear in the right, bow on the back. Every one of them. 11 people carrying 3 weapons apiece, walking east. And we shoot everything we pass on the way. Partly for practice, partly because 11 people eat, and I'd rather burn arrows than rations. 2 days. And there it is. 2 huts by a river. And we lie up on a hilltop, and the hilltop is covered in rocks, and I do not spare them a single glance because I'm busy counting men. And the numbers match exactly what their chief told me, which is how I find out he wasn't lying, which is somehow worse. And the stone tribe is eating, and they don't use fire. A big wild boar on the ground, 20-odd men crouched around it cutting pieces off with stone knives and throwing them straight in, and a dozen women and children watching from the side, waiting, because the strong eat first, then the women and children. And that's not cruelty, that's the doctrine of this entire world. The men have to be full, or nobody's protected. And I'm lying in the grass, watching people wait their turn at a corpse, and my stomach turns over. And that was us, 7 weeks ago. That was the Luoshui Tribe exactly. No fire, no pot, blood on everyone's face, the women standing back. I'm looking at my own tribe, from before, and I'm here to end it. And it gets dark, and we can see. Because Huaxia has been eating organ meat every single day for weeks, and the night blindness is gone. Cured, completely. And the vegetables help too. That's it. That was the whole thing. The wolf tribe's terrifying supernatural advantage, the thing that let them walk into a camp in the pitch dark and murder 6 men, was liver. And I fixed it by accident, by feeding people properly. And nobody in this world knows that but me. And I'm about to use it on somebody else. And we wait until the huts go quiet, and I take 5 men with shields and spears and 6 with bows, shields in front, archers behind. And we start walking. 2 shacks, 1 big, 1 small. Big one's the adults, small one's the children. And every one of my people is sweating, and so am I, because I have never done this. I've defended a wall, I've shot men who charged me. I have never walked up to a sleeping settlement in the dark. And I give the order, and Sang-Hu goes in first, and he puts his spear straight through the man with the chicken feathers in his hair, through the heart. And blood comes out of the man's mouth, and he shakes, and he's gone. And 4 shield bearers thrust at the same time, 4 more men, through the chest. Ground goes red. And the stone tribe wakes up into it, and the men grab their spears and fight back, instantly, from dead sleep, because that's what these people are, and the women huddle, and my archers draw. Whoosh, whoosh. Vitals, everyone. And men go down, and the blood comes, and the ones still alive are screaming, and the 9 left standing don't move. They just stop, frozen. Because 5 of theirs died in a single breath, and they never saw a hand touch any of them. Drop your weapons and get on the ground or we kill you all. And they don't hesitate. Spears hit the dirt, men go down flat. And the women see the men go down, and they go down too. And Sang-Hu's crew ties them all. And then I take the archers into the small hut, and we tie up the children. 9 men, 15 women, roped at the neck, one to the next. And 5 children, 4 or 5 years old. And that's where I stop. Because slaves are one thing. I've made that trade already. I've made my peace with it. I'll live with it. And what am I supposed to do with a 4-year-old? We can't kill them all, can we? And I can't. I just can't. That's the whole reasoning. There isn't a strategy in it. There's no argument. I looked at 5 small children in a hut in the dark, and my brain went completely blank. And the only thought that came out the other side was, bring them home first. Work it out later. And I go looking for their food stores, and there's nothing. Nothing at all. What a piece of trash tribe. They came to murder and rob us, and they don't have a single thing. Where did they even get the courage? And that's the joke, and it isn't funny. They didn't attack us because they were bold. They attacked us because they had nothing, and 3 days of empty traps, and they saw 100 animals standing in a pen. They were us. And they lost the coin flip, and the coin flip was me. And on the way back, I stop at the rocky hill, and I search it for a long time. And there's iron ore. Iron. The thing I said was impossible. The thing I wrote off. The Yellow River Valley is a plain. There's no ore. Forget it. Sitting in a hill 2 days east, under the tribe that tried to rob me, which is named after its rocks. They were living on it. They named themselves after it. The Stone Tribe. For generations. And to them, it was just the ground. So I have every slave fill an animal skin bag. 24 slaves. 24 bags of iron ood, and a rope around every neck, because if one runs, he strangles the others, and nobody's testing that. And the children just follow the adults. I don't tie them, they're too small. Where would they go? And my team each carries a bag too. Chief, what's the point of all these stones? This is good stuff. We'll come back for more when we've got the people. And Sang-Hu accepts that, because it's me. Because the last time I got excited about dirt, we ended up with bowls, and the time before that, we ended up with fire. He has no idea he's carrying the end of the Stone Age on his back. And we shoot what we pass, though there isn't much, and the slaves don't get much food. 2 reasons, and only one of them is nice. I'm afraid they'll run, and I want them hungry all the time, because a hungry man is a slow man. I know exactly what I'm doing. I do it anyway. 3 days back, and the whole way I'm worried about the courtesan, because I left one woman in charge of 8 slaves in my entire tribe, and there was no version of that week where I wasn't going to think about it every hour. And she comes out to meet us. Delighted. Have the slaves been quiet? And no, they were not. The day after I left, they ran. Some of them broke while they were eating. And she saw it, and she drew, and she shot, and both of them went down before they'd taken a proper step. And then she put an arrow through a slave's leg, and he's on the ground, writhing and screaming and bleeding in front of everybody, and the rest of them watched, and that was the end of it. And then her 2 female soldiers arrived, and it was over, and they've behaved ever since. And I'm relieved. That's my reaction. That's the honest one. A woman shot a man through the leg and left him screaming in the dirt as a demonstration, and I stood there and felt relieved. And I picked her because she was tall. And the wall closes this afternoon. And I walk the Stone Tribe slaves in, and their chief sees them. Every single one of his people, his men, his women, his children, roped at the neck, walking through the gate of the tribe he tried to rob. And it hits him all at once. If we hadn't touched Huaxia, we'd all be fine. And the Stone Tribe doesn't exist anymore. I did that in 6 days with 11 people. And I put the ore inside the walls and go build. And I sent Kung Hu's squad to check the traps because I've been gone almost a week and I have 30 holes out there and no idea what's in them. And Old Man Hu comes straight over with a production report. All the hemp rope and wool rope, done. 30 pots, 20 basins, 100 bowls. Do we keep making pottery? And I think about it, and I say the strangest sentence of my life. Stop. We've got enough for everyone. Enough. We have enough. Not enough for now, not enough if we're careful. Enough. 100 bowls for 31 people, and the old man is asking whether to keep going, and the answer is no, because the need is met, and there is no word for that here, and I just had to invent the concept out loud. And Mei Lin comes to find me the second she hears I'm back, and she's not thin anymore. That's the thing I notice before anything else. That's what 6 weeks of eating twice a day does to a 14-year-old who spent her whole life on 2 sour fruits. And she's fine. And she's here. And I'm home. Let's make the fishing net. And then I look at Old Man Hu. I'll teach you something new. Mei Lin, you too. And she's there instantly. And the 3 of us sit down. The crippled old man who lost his leg trying to save her mother, the girl whose mother he couldn't save, and me. And we make a net. And they both have it fast. Several hours. 4 or 5 meters of hand-cast net. And then I take Mei Lin and some women to the river, and I spin, and I throw, and I pull it back with more than a dozen big fish kicking in it. 1 throw. And they're staring at me like I've done it again, and I have. Because remember the very first thing I ever did for this tribe? Standing in cold water for an hour with a bamboo spear to get 1 fish, and the whole tribe thought it was a waste of daylight? And they were right. And now it's a dozen, per throw. And I teach them, and then I leave them to it, because they don't need me. That's the whole point. The net doesn't need a genius, it needs arms. And I get back, and the wall is up. No gate yet, but the wall is closed. And inside, there's room for at least 60 houses. 60. I have 5. I have walled in a city for people who do not exist yet, and I did it on purpose, and I did it before I had them, because the wall takes months, and the people are coming. So, the gate. Groove across the top to seat it. Slaves chopping wood, women digging mud. And there are 17 male slaves now. 17. It was 8 last week. And Group 2 patrols the wall with bows the whole time, and anybody who moves wrong gets shot. And in the evening, the women come back with the fish. 200 fish, 4 or 5 pounds each. 200 in an afternoon, by women who learned to do it this morning. And nobody in this world fishes. The rivers are stuffed. They always were. Every tribe on this continent has spent every generation walking past a river absolutely packed with food. Starving, because nobody had the tool. And the tribe cheers, and the slaves just stare, because they're watching the women of the Luoshui Tribe come home with 200 fish, casually, like it's a chore. Are these people really that amazing? Yes, as of this morning, yes we are. And that evening, the gate is finished, and it takes the entire tribe to lift it. 400 pounds of wood, and everyone gets under it, and we walk it over, and we lower it slowly into the groove, and 6 tall stakes go in to hold it. Ask me what a man does with a hill full of iron and no one to swing it. And then a rope through the hole in the gate, up over the main beam, and down. Lever again. Turn the board, and 400 pounds of gate rises on its own. And everybody stands there watching that gate go up, and nobody says anything, because they built it, all of them, with their hands. Out of mud they dug and wood they cut, and it's theirs, and it moves when they tell it to. And from that moment, this is the main city of the Luoshui Tribe. City, not camp, not settlement. And that night, we eat fish and drink fish soup, and I give every slave a pottery bowl, including the children, and a pair of chopsticks each, and they line up or they don't eat. And the women of Huaxia serve them, a bowl of fish each, and then they can come back for soup. And some of the women start crying, not from fear, they're too happy, because they have never eaten anything like it in their lives. Because they are prisoners of war in a foreign city, in a mudroom they'll be locked in tonight, holding a bowl of hot fish soup with seconds available. And it's the best meal any of them has ever had. And that's the thing that should bother me and doesn't quite. I destroyed their nation on Tuesday. I rope them at the neck and march them here carrying rocks. I keep them hungry on purpose, as policy. And they're crying into a bowl because somebody gave them soup. And Huaxia eats after. Same rule as always, wash your hands. And we ate 30 fish tonight, 170 left. We'll eat them tomorrow, and if we still can't finish them, we dry them. We caught more food in one afternoon than 68 people can eat in 2 days. And the slaves get locked in 2 rooms, 18 and 19, both packed. And then I call a meeting, and I build a government. Old man Hu, you're head of the production workshop, 3 people under you. Kilns, charcoal, hemp rope, arrowheads, spears. The man with the ruined leg runs my industry. Mei Lin, you're captain of the fishing team, 2 people under you. The chief's daughter has a department, and it isn't a courtesy. Fish is the most reliable food source this tribe has, and I just handed it to her. Courtesan, head of security, 5 under you. You keep this tribe safe. And then the children. There are 4 in Huaxia. Oldest is my age, youngest is 11 or 12, and the tallest boy is Lei, about 1.72, and not thin anymore. Lei, you run the pasture, 3 people under you. A 12-year-old is now responsible for 170 animals. Kang Hu, still a team leader, 3 under you, hunting. And that's a man who was chief of this tribe 2 months ago, taking an assignment from a 14-year-old without a flicker. Hei Hu, captain of the 2nd team, 2 under you, tribe operations. And then, Zhao, the tall woman who worked my kiln, and it turns out she can cook. Zhao, cafeteria manager, 2 under you, you feed this tribe. And you, head of the clinic, 2 under you, everyone's injuries. A clinic, with staff, in a world where medicine is 1 plant and a prayer. 31 people, everyone has a position. All departments report to me, meeting's over. 31 people and 9 departments, production, fishing, security, pasture, hunting, operations, kitchen, medicine, and me. That's not a tribe anymore. That's an org chart. That's specialization. That's the thing that separates a group of people who survive together from a civilization. And I just built it over 1 dinner because I got tired of telling everybody what to do individually. And 2 teams patrol the wall. 1 person on each of the 4 sides. See anything? Shout. And I take second watch myself because I'm still the chief, and the chief takes a watch. And in the morning, Jiao's already got food ready, and the slaves get half. Half. Every day. As doctrine. Because half-full men finish a day's work with nothing left in the tank, no energy to think about running. They just want to lie down. That's not neglect. That's the design. And I'm the one who designed it. Mei Lin, your squad fishes today. Mingyue, guard the slaves, and nobody opens that gate for anyone without my order. Yes, leader. Old man Hu, break the stones. All of it, from yesterday. Yes, chief. And then I promote the shaman. Feng, from now on, you're Director Feng. Your team collects herbs. Director. The woman who is 40 years old in a world where that's a long life, who has kept these people alive her entire adult life with crushed plants and hope, and watched most of them die anyway. She's got a title and a team and a mandate now, and she's the one who told me not to attack the Stone Tribe. Lei, herding today, and the courtesan supervises the slaves building houses, because winter is a few dozen days out. And once the ore is broken, the old men make clothes from every hide we own. Hide clothes are warm, and we're doing it in advance, weeks in advance, for a winter that hasn't started. Nobody in this world has ever prepared for winter. You survive it, or you don't. That's what winter is here. It's not a season, it's a call. And then I take 2 squads hunting, to the valley mouth, where there are a lot of animals, especially hunting dogs and lions. And most primitive people won't go near it. Too dangerous. So obviously, I'm going. And we march out, and I want you to see us. Shields, spears, bows on our backs, in formation, neat, ordered, moving as one thing. And it's genuinely intimidating. These are elite troops. That's not me being proud. That's just what 11 people look like when they've got 3 weapons each and they've spent 2 months trying to kill each other with padded sticks. 9 weeks ago, they were the skeletons who lost a goat. And we get to the valley mouth, and we hide. And here's the plan, and it's the meanest thing I've ever thought of. Wait for the animals to come through in a mass, volley the ones in control, and the ones in front go down, and the ones behind panic and speed up, and the exit is narrow. And it becomes a stampede, and the herd tramples its own dead and dying into the ground, and we don't fight a single animal. And when they're gone, we walk down and finish it. And there'll be more food than the tribe can eat, and Sung-Hu loves it. And what he loves most is that we never touch the carnivores. That's the part that lands for him. That's what a lifetime of hunting teaches you, is what a lifetime of hunting teaches you. The ideal hunt is the one where nothing ever gets to reach you. And just as we're about to move, there's a group of people being chased in the distance, and I hold the team. Nobody moves. We watch, and I know that figure. And as he gets closer, it's Zhe Ying, one of He Xiong's 4 grand commanders, the man who came into the Luoshui Tribe in the dark with 20 men and murdered us in our sleep. The reason we ran into the mountains, the reason we ended up in this valley at all. Every single thing in this story happened because of that man. And he's chasing more than 30 people, 10 women, 5 children, the rest men. And he puts a stone spear through a fleeing man's stomach, and the man's insides come out, and his people run back to help him. And Zhe Ying kicks one of them to the ground, and the women scream, and it excites him. That's the detail. That's the whole man in one line. He hears women screaming, and it turns him on, and he's already lining up his next thrust. And that's when 8 feathered arrows come out of the tree line, and he never even sees what they are. 2 in the chest, and he goes down, and the blood comes out of his mouth. And several of his men go down beside him, screaming. And my 8 men just keep shooting, volley after volley, and more than 20 Wolf Tribe men go down. And they don't even understand what's happening. They're still busy with the mountain people. They don't look up until they notice Shui Ying is hurt, and by then, we've put 3 or 4 volleys into them, and half their number is on the ground. And the people they were hunting have only just worked out that somebody saved them. And we walk up with bows on the survivors, 7 Wolf Tribe men standing there, completely lost, and their stone spears are creaking in their hands. That's how tight they're gripping them. That's the sound of a group of apex predators discovering their prey and having absolutely nowhere to put it. And I walk over to Shui Ying. And I don't know what I feel, because I've been in this world 9 weeks, and this man is where it started. He's the reason 6 men died. He's the reason we ran into a forest full of wolves at night. He's the reason I woke up with somebody else's blood on my face. And we only lived because it was dark and the mountains were full of animals and it scared him off. We survived Shu Ying by pure accident. And now he's on the ground, barely breathing. And he looks at us, and he wants to say something. And he thinks about it for a long time. And then he doesn't say anything at all. And his head goes over, and that's it, straight through the heart. Nobody could have saved him. And I never found out what he was going to say. That's the part that sits with me. He had a whole sentence in him, and he spent his last minute deciding not to spend it. Weapons down, on the ground, or we kill every one of you. And several of them charge anyway, because they're Wolf Tribe, because they're tall and strong and well-fed. You can see it on them. You can see the years of stolen organ meat in their shoulders, and because in their entire lives, charging has always worked. Loose! And the double-layered bows go through them. At 10 meters, there's no dodging. There's no dodging at all. They're just gone. And the last 5 drop their spears and lie down. Hey who, tie them. They're coming home as slaves. And then the mountain people come over, and they will not stop thanking me, because they'd all be dead, all of them, right there, today. And I go look at the man with the stomach wound, and he's beyond saving. His intestines are out. He's nearly bled dry. There's no plant for that. There's no bandage for that. And the women are wailing over him, because he was their chief. Why is Shui Ying hunting you? And here it is. The Wolf Tribe demanded their tribe hand over 10 women, and their chief said no. So the Wolf Tribe sent Shui Ying to erase them. They ran overnight, and he caught them anyway. And if they hadn't run into us, every one of them dies today. And that's the Wolf Tribe. That's the whole institution in 4 sentences. That's the outfit whose 100 men have owned this valley for years. You send us 10 women, or we kill your entire tribe. And one man said no. And it cost him his life, and it cost his tribe everything. And he said no anyway. Who are you? Where's your tribe going now? They're the mountain tribe. They live on a big mountain and they survive on fruit. Fruit, that's the whole economy. That's what they eat. That's what they've always eaten. And their chief is dead, and they don't know where to go. And I think about it for a second. Join us. Your tribe's too weak. One wild beast and you're finished. Winter's almost here. Do you have winter food? Do you have winter clothes? And they have none of it, not one of those things, and she knows exactly what that means. Ask me what a fruit tribe says to a man who has a city with 60 empty houses in it. And she asks the only question that matters. If we join you, will we be treated differently? If you join, you're the same as everyone else. What we eat, you eat. And then the condition. Let's be clear. If you join, this tribe comes first. Your old tribe doesn't exist anymore. And she goes back, and they talk it over. And she comes back. We'd like to join. From now on, we're one tribe. 29 people. 10 women, 5 children, 14 men. My name is Ling, and that one is Fang. 29. I had 31 this morning. I just doubled my nation with a sentence, and I don't send them home. I put them to work immediately. Come hunting with us first, then we go back together. And I put the mountain men on guarding the wolf tribe prisoners, because I've got 29 strangers and 5 captives and no history with any of them, and the fastest way to make a man yours is to hand him a job that matters on his first day. And then we do the valley, and the animals start coming through, and I wait until half of them are across, and then I give the order. Volley, volley, volley. More than 20 animals hit at once, and they're not dead, they're hurt, and hurt is the whole point. They're screaming, they're bleeding, they're thrashing, and a bison panics, and it charges. And that's all it takes. One animal, one decision, and every herbivore in that valley loses its mind at the same instant. And tens of thousands of animals start running. Tens of thousands. And the ones in front go down, and the ones behind go over them, and the ones behind those don't even see the ground, and the exit is too narrow, and it turns into a grinder. And we keep shooting from the pass to keep them going. And it's the biggest thing I have ever seen in my life. And Ling's people are destroyed by it. Their legs give out. The women huddle. The men are shaking. They cannot stand up. They're 29 people from a mountain who eat fruit, and they have just watched their new chief stampede a continent on purpose. And I have to tell them to calm down. Don't scare yourselves. It's fine. It's supposed to do that. An hour. And then it's quiet. And we walk down. More than 100 dead at the mouth of the valley. Boar, sheep, calves, antelope. And it's a shame, because they're all dead. That's my actual reaction, not triumph. Disappointment, because I wanted them alive. Because I have a pasture now, and a dead animal is just meat, and a live one is meat forever. And then I hear a cow. 3 calves, injured, not fatally. And that's the haul that matters, because 120 carcasses feed us for a month. 3 calves feed us for a generation. And now I've got a logistics problem. 37 of us, plus 5 wolf tribe slaves, and 120 carcasses. How do we move it? And I look at the bamboo, and we cut it, and it's slow, brutally slow with stone tools, 6 stalks at a time, and it takes forever. And we tie it into sledges and pile the carcasses on, and each person drags 2 or 3, because bamboo on grass barely has any friction. That's it. That's the whole invention. We didn't get stronger. We got rid of the friction. One man now moves 3 animals with a rope over his shoulder because the ground stopped fighting him. And I bandage the 3 calves' legs myself and rope their heads together and walk them home personally. The chief of the tribe, leading 3 baby cows, on foot, for 2 days, because they're the most valuable thing in that entire valley, and I'm not trusting them to anybody. And the 5 wolf tribe slaves go in front, pulling, roped foot to foot, and one runs, they all fall. 2 days, and then we see the tribe. And the courtesan is on the wall, and she sees 40-plus people coming across the plain, and she calls out the security team, 6 women, fully armed, on the wall, bows drawn on the approaching column, and she is not afraid, and she's right not to be. The wall's over 3 meters. There's no way 40 people break that gate. She's above them, she's got bows, and she has done the math exactly the way I taught her. They won't even reach the gate. They'll all die out there. 6 women against 40. And the correct answer is that the 40 lose. That's what a wall is. And I have to shout at my own city to get in. Courtesan, it's us! Open the gate! And Ling's people are looking at it, and their legs go numb. And the wolf tribe slaves are no better. And these are the strongest men in the region, the ones who've been eating everyone else's food for years, and none of them have ever seen a building before. Not a big building. A building. They don't know what it is. They're standing in front of 800 meters of mud wall and a 400-pound gate, and their brains have simply stopped. And I have to remind them that this is home now. And the gate opens, and they walk in, and the first thing they see is the pasture. And they've never seen that many animals in one place in their lives. They wouldn't have dreamed of it. Because in their tribe, that's not wealth. That's not a thing that can exist. Animals are out there. Animals run away. Animals kill you. And there are hundreds of them standing in a pen doing nothing. And I send the 5 wolf tribe men to dig mud, immediately. First hour. Welcome to Huasha. And I was gone 3 days, and there were a dozen more mud houses, 15 total now, so the slaves have somewhere to live. And I call everyone. Together. The mountain tribe has officially joined Huaxia. From today, we're one tribe. And then the law. Any problem, any conflict, you come to me, immediately. Nobody settles anything privately. Anyone who does is expelled. And nobody argues. And that's the second most important thing I've built after the wall. Because 60 people from 3 destroyed tribes just moved into one city, and every one of them has a reason to hate somebody. And I have just made the state the only place violence is allowed to live. That's rule of law, in one sentence, in a mud city, on a Tuesday. And then I put Ling with Director Fong to learn medicine, because I'd already taught Fong how to bandage and which herbs are which. And now she teaches somebody. And that's the moment the knowledge stops being mine. And the women go into the departments, and the 14 men go to the hunting teams. Squad 1, 9, Squad 2, 8, Squad 3, 10. And every squad gets a captain and a training schedule. 9 weeks ago, I had 7 men. And Old Man Hu comes over with the report. Chief, all the stones are smashed. And we made clothes out of all the hides. And I ask Mei Lin about the fish. 500 fish in 3 days, all dried, all hanging up. 500. And then I go to the kiln with Old Man Hu, and we smelt iron. And he's been making charcoal the whole time I was gone, piles of it, stockpiled. Nobody told him to, he just knew it was his job now, and he did it while his chief was away starting a stampede. And me and the 4 old men load the kiln with charcoal and crushed ore and light it. Several hours, and I pull out granular iron slag, and I put the old men on production and go build a crucible. Clay, wood ash, and grass, that's the pot, and mud molds, a knife shape, a spearhead shape, and into the kiln it goes. And that evening the whole tribe eats, and the newcomers eat until their bellies are round, because they haven't had a proper meal in a long time, because they're mountain people who live on fruit, and their chief died 3 days ago, and they walked here behind a stranger. And every one of them makes the same decision that night, privately, without saying it out loud. They are going to protect this place, because this life was hard to get, and it's the best any of them have ever had, and nobody is taking it. I didn't recruit them, I fed them. That's the whole loyalty program. And the slag comes out at about 40 jin, and the crucible's ready. Slag in the pot, kiln full of charcoal, pot in the kiln, light it. And the slag melts, and it becomes molten iron. And I pull the crucible out with a wet stick, which is a sentence I want you to sit with, because that is the entire safety equipment of the Huaxia tribe's metallurgical industry. A stick and water on it, and I pour. And a blade takes shape, and then a spearhead. And I refill the pot and put it back, and go make a dozen more molds while it cooks. And when they cool, I take them out and tap them, and they ring. And I lose my mind. Because I have been in this world for 2.5 months. I have made fire and pots and bows and a wall and a gate and a government and a stampede. And this is the one. This is the age changing. Right here, in a lump of mud, in a valley on the wrong side of nowhere. And I called Sunghu, Heihu, and Mingyue over, and I sharpened the blade on a stone. And 3 squad leaders watch me and do not blink, not once. They're watching a rock turn a piece of gray metal into an edge, and they cannot look away. And I catch the slurry off the grinding, because that's iron too, and I'm not throwing away a gram. And I put Sunghu on the spearhead, and I do the handle, and then I test it on a piece of wood. 1 strike, wood in 2. And they lose it. And then they check the edge, and the edge is completely undamaged. And that's when they stop being able to form sentences, because every single one of them has spent their whole life with stone. And stone chips. Stone breaks. Stone is a thing that dies while you use it, and you spend your life making more of it. And this thing went through a log, and it doesn't care. And I hand it to Heihu, and his hands are shaking as he takes it, and he chops. And the wood snaps in 2, and Mingyue's eyes go wide, and she just snatches it off him and does it herself. And I smile at them and ask if they'd like their own, and they will not let go of it. That's the answer. Nobody says yes. They just physically will not release the iron. And we run the pot again. And again. 5 blades, 5 spearheads, and everyone starts sharpening at once. And I make them sharpen over pottery basins because the slurry settles overnight, and then you pour the water off, and you get the iron back. Because the ore is gone. That's the thing. That's the whole constraint. We used all of it. And the Stone Tribe Hill is over a day away, and we can't carry much, and we're not making that trip soon. So every single piece of iron in this tribe is priceless. And that's why I've got my squad leaders sharpening the most advanced weapons on this continent over bowls so that the dust of it goes back in the fire. 6 blades, 6 spearheads, and I pull the stone heads off the old spears and put iron ones on. And Kang Hu tests it, straight through the wood, and he pulls it out and looks at the head, and it's perfect, completely intact. A stone spear would have shattered. And then he just holds it against his chest like a treasure, and he won't put it down. And I have to laugh at him. 2 meters tall, 200 kilos. The man who held a grand commander in a gap alone so his people could run, standing in a yard, cuddling a stick. And in the morning, I distribute. Squad 1, 1 blade, 2 iron spears. Squad 2, 1 blade, 2 iron spears. Squad 3, 1 blade, 2 iron spears. And then the part that tells you everything about how this tribe works. Old Man Hu, 1 blade. Jiao, 1 blade. The workshop gets iron. The kitchen gets iron, before the chief. Because Jiao feeds 60 people, and Old Man Hu makes everything we own, and a blade in their hands does more for this city than a blade in a soldier's. And I keep the last one. And then no more, because there's no more ore. And I send Squad 1 hunting and keep 2 and 3 home training, old members leading the new ones. Because tomorrow I meet Qing Luan. And then I go to the slaves, and they're working hard, and I say it loud enough for all of them. Perform well, and you can become members of the Luoshui Tribe, with the same treatment as us. And they work harder, instantly, because I just gave them a door. And that's the whole thing. That's the difference between a slave who runs and a slave who builds, not chains, a future. I've got 42 of them, and about 8 guards, and the only thing actually holding that arrangement together is that I told them it ends. And I mean it. That's the part I want to be honest about. I actually mean it. And there are 30 mud houses now. Half the space inside the walls, and building more isn't urgent. And then I look at the trench, over 500 meters, 10 meters out from the wall, all the way around, 4 meters wide, 2 deep. It's a moat, and once it's done, an enemy can only come at the front gate. That's it. That's the entire tactical situation of any war ever fought against this city, decided in advance, by a ditch. And a 4-meter path stays open at the gate. And in a month, it's finished. And then I run bamboo pipe down from the mountain because there's a stream up there and the water's excellent, and I fill it. And there are 42 slaves now, including 5 children. And I don't tie the children. They go herding with Lei every day because the tribe can't support idlers and because they're 4 years old. And I rope their parents at the neck and march them here, and I let the kids run around with the sheep, and I'm not going to pretend those 2 facts sit comfortably together. And the other 37 dig mud, cut grass, and make brick. And they're scrambling to do it, because I gave them hope. And in the afternoon, Squad 1 comes back with 20-plus goats. Chief, 23 goats. And we dug 10 more traps. That's 50 now. Check them daily, and we'll have plenty. 50 traps. And he brought back vines, unprompted, because months ago I told them to bring back anything interesting, and they never stopped. And the goats go to lay, and I've given a whole house to the rabbits, because rabbits breed. 3 litters in the last few days, 7 or 8 each, nearly 50 rabbits. And when it snows, we keep breeders and slaughter the rest, and the fur makes yarn. Nothing is wasted here. Nothing. And the slaves live 10 to a room, split by gender, with 2 toilets and 2 bathhouses next to their quarters. And only when a slave contributes does he get a woman and a private room. That's the ladder. That's the whole system, written out. And the 20 remaining houses go to squad leaders and above. Tsang Hu, Hei Hu, Jiao, Old Man Hu, Director Feng, Mei Lin, Lei, Ming Yue, Ling. And I keep the biggest, in the center. Squad leaders next to me, ordinary members next to them. 5 to a room, split by gender. And the slaves live by the wall corner for easier management. That's a city with districts. That's zoning. That's a class structure, and I built it deliberately, and I can see it from my window. And after dinner, I call a meeting, and I give these people surnames. Everyone from the old Luoshui Tribe takes a surname. From now on, people with the same surname can't be together as couples. Those already together are exempt. Luoshui people take long, so I'll be called Long Li Wei. Mountain tribe people take Shan, so Ling is Shan Ling. And Ming Yue puts her hand up. Chief, what about me? You're Long Ming Yue. And she thinks that sounds domineering as hell, and she agrees immediately. And they all get it instantly, and they think it's a naming ceremony. It's not, it's genetics. I just quietly outlawed close kin marriage in a population of 60 people who have been inbreeding in isolated camps for generations, and I did it by handing out cool names, and every single one of them thinks I gave them a gift. They're right, too. It is a gift. It's just not the one they think. And then one more rule. From now on, anyone in this tribe who gets married gets a private room. Ask me what a man with 30 houses and 6 iron blades brings to a meeting with 30,000 people. And somebody puts their hand up. Chief, what is marriage? And there it is. They don't have the word. So I explain it. A man takes a woman. They live together, they have children together, and neither one sleeps with anyone else, only each other. And if you break it, you're expelled, permanently. You never set foot in this tribe again. And the children take the father's surname. The man is the father, the woman is the mother, and they raise them together. That's marriage. And I've just abolished the entire social structure of this world in one paragraph. Because the rule here was that the chief gets a woman of his own, and nobody else does, and half the time nobody knows whose child is whose. And I just told 60 people they can all have what only a chief was allowed to have. We'll have 60 houses. Any man and woman who marry come to me and claim one. And they light up. A house for getting married. And it goes nowhere immediately because the mountain tribe just walked in this afternoon and nobody knows anybody yet. So it waits. That's fine. The law goes on the books before the first case. That's how you do it. And then the totem. Our old totem was water, but the Luoshui Tribe doesn't exist anymore. And the mountain tribe's totem was the mountain. And we're one tribe now, so we need our own. And I take charcoal and draw on a hide, and everybody stares at it in total confusion, because nobody here has ever seen one. Nobody knows what it is. There is no such animal, and there never was, and there never will be. From now on, our totem is the dragon. Tomorrow morning we put it on a pole at the main gate. It's the symbol of this tribe's power. And that's the flag. 60 people, 30 mud houses, 6 iron blades, and a flag with a monster on it that only one man in the world has ever seen. And they all take the surname Long, and now they know what it means, and I never explained it, and I never will. And then I take 5 big sheep horns, cut a small hole in the lower end, clean out everything inside, and blow. And it goes, deep and resonant, and it carries. And I hand them around, and they've all got it in about a minute. And then there are 5 grown adults standing in a mud city at night, making a noise nobody in this world has ever heard, and enjoying it far too much. Every morning somebody blows the horn. Every squad assembles immediately. Anyone who doesn't come gets 10 sticks and no food for a day. And that applies to everyone, no exceptions. It doesn't matter who you are. And if you see enemies, blow it. And those are the only 2 reasons this horn ever sounds. Morning training, or attack. Anything else, and you don't eat for 2 days. And that's not a horn, that's a nervous system. Because I'm not teaching them a signal, I'm teaching them obedience. A team without discipline is loose sand, every man doing his best, in the same field, alone. And I've watched that get people killed. I want an army, and you don't get one by saying so. You get one by making a noise that means drop everything, and then punishing everybody who doesn't. And you have to go slow, step by step. Let them get used to one new thing at a time. Squad 1 starts, somebody up at dawn every morning to blow it. Sang-Hu goes first, sort the rest out yourselves. Oversleep, and you don't eat for 2 days. And every squad in that city goes rigid. And tonight, Ming Yue's squad has the watch. 10 people, 5 and 5. Anything happens, blow the horn. And at dawn, Sang-Hu blows it, and the whole city moves. Squads grab weapons and go to the training ground. Everybody else starts work. And the slaves come out of their rooms with no idea what's happening, because they've never heard it either. So I walk over and tell them, the horn goes, you get up, you work. And they pick up their tools. And Zhao's got food ready, and everyone lines up with their own bowl and chopsticks. Everyone, slaves included. And I go out and watch 3 squads doing shield and spear drill, and an hour later, archery. And the new members learn fast. There are mistakes, of course there are. They've been here a day. And their captains correct them on the spot, without me, because I built the captains first, and now the captains build the men. That's the whole machine. That's what I actually made. And after breakfast, I take squads 1 and 2 to meet Qing Luan. And I bring every piece of iron in the tribe, 6 blades, 6 spears, all wrapped in animal skin. Wrapped, because I am not showing 30,000 people what I've got. 18 of us, 9 with shields, iron blades, and spears, 9 with bows and spears, and the iron went to the veterans and a few of the sharpest newcomers, and 6 men are still carrying stone. That's the honest inventory of the most advanced military on this continent. 2/3 iron, 1/3 rocks. And I'm worried the whole way. What if she brings hundreds? Because good weapons don't beat hundreds. Nothing beats hundreds. 18 people with iron die exactly as dead as 18 people with sticks. So the plan is, hide, look, and if there's too many, we leave. And we get there, and there's a dozen or so people, and Qing Luan's at the front, and I breathe. And there's a different big man next to her because Zhen Chang's leg was too bad and he's still not walking. And she gets straight to it. We brought 20 bags of salt stone. And I go look, 20 bags, animal skin, full. Is salt just worthless here? That's my actual first thought, because I've been drinking blood for 2 months over this stuff, and she's brought it in sacks, casually, like firewood. And she reads my face. 1 bag of our saltstone normally trades for 1 adult danyu, or 20 sheep. 20 bags, that's 400 sheep, that's 20 cattle. She has just handed me a fortune that would buy several entire tribes, and she did it without blinking. And I'm just staring at her. And she's delighted by that. You saved me and Zhen Chang. The Firebird tribe wants to be your friends. And that's the whole thing. I saved 2 people in a clearing because a man was about to die in front of me, and it turned into the single largest transaction in the history of my nation. We're already friends. And we look at each other, and we both smile. And then she looks at my men, 9 with shields, spears wrapped in hide, iron blades wrapped in hide at their waists, and 8 behind with bows, stone spears on their backs, and a bamboo tube at the hip full of arrows. And she knows exactly what the bows are, because she watched me kill 2 Tao Tia warriors with one, and then she went home and tried to make them, several times, and failed, every time. A super tribe of 30,000 people, with her at the top. And she could not reproduce a stick and a string. Li Wei, can you take me to see your tribe? The Firebird are a peace-loving tribe. We don't harm people without reason. And I say yes. And I want to be honest about why, because it wasn't trust. 1, I've taken a fortune off them and refusing would be embarrassing. 2, and this is the real one, they could find me anyway. Widen the search and you'd see my city inside half a day. A city that size is not hideable. That's the cost of building something. Every wall I put up made me safer and made me findable, and there's no version where I get one without the other. And then I look at their mounts. Danyu, all matched. 15 people, 15 mounts. And they're not fast, but they're strong, and they pull. And I want them so badly I can taste it. When I get time, I'm catching a few adult danyu. And she doesn't ride, she walks with me. The daughter of a nation of 30,000 people gets off her mount and walks next to a 14-year-old for half a day, asking questions the entire way. Is your tribe big? How many people? Not many, just over 80, and that's the truth, and I say it like an apology, because they're a super tribe with tens of thousands, and of course they look down on 80 people. And then she sees the wall, and Mingyue has already got 10 people up there with arrows on us the whole way in, and then she spots me. And Qing Luan gets to the gate, and she is just stopped. What is this? How is it this big? There are men standing on top of it. There are women with bows pointed at me, and it genuinely frightens her. Mingyue, weapons down. These are friends of the Luoshui Tribe. Can I go in? And I hesitate. You can, alone. And her warriors immediately object. Of course they do. Their chief's daughter is about to walk into a fortress with a 400-pound gate and no way to reach her. And I don't say a word. I just look at her. And she stops them. It's fine. I believe Chief Li won't harm me. And that's the trade. That's the actual currency in this world. She's not being naive. She's paying me in the only thing that's worth anything between strangers, and she knows exactly what she's spending. Mingyue, open the gate. And 400 pounds of wood rises out of the ground, and I have them unload every bag of salt inside. And I gesture her in, and she walks through, and the gate comes down behind her. And her warriors stand outside looking anxious, and there is absolutely nothing they can do. The walls are too high. And the first thing she sees is that the tribe is eating. Everyone lined up, Zhao's squad with ceramic basins of food, every person holding a ceramic bowl and 2 little sticks, one at a time. Get your food, step off, next one up. And the other line isn't eating as well, and she looks at me. They tried to kill our people. They were captured. They're slaves. And she's surprised. Slaves get meat? They work for this tribe every day, hard labor. Apart from not being allowed to eat until they're full, they eat what we eat. And the ones who perform well get extra as a reward. And she looks at me and decides Chief Li is too soft, too kind. That's her actual read. That's what she takes away from a man who keeps 42 people roped and hungry by policy. And that tells you everything about what slavery looks like everywhere else on this continent. And then I grab 2 bowls, hand her one, and we get in the line. The chief of the tribe, in the queue, behind everybody else. And when we get to the front, Zhao gives me a full portion and gives Qingluan a bowl of meat. And that's it. That's the whole ceremony. And I take her to the dining hall, and it's full, and there are wooden tables and wooden stools. And she sits down and holds the 2 sticks and just looks at them. And I show her how, and she has it immediately. And the food's got no salt in it, and she's got 20 bags of the stuff sitting in my yard, and neither of us has thought to open one, and she thinks it's delicious. Because the Firebird are a super tribe of 30,000 people, and their way of eating is still completely backward. She's never seen anything like this in her life. A bowl, a table, a stool, a queue. And then she asks for the tour, and I give it. And the pasture stops her. Because a tribe this small should not be able to feed itself, let alone keep animals. That's the rule. Small tribes are people who are slowly dying, and the Firebird pastures have tens of thousands of animals. Pigs, cattle, sheep, rabbits, antelope, chickens, and mine is goats and boars, and that's it. And she can see it's new. The wood hasn't weathered. And that's what unsettles her, not the size, the age. She's looking at something that shouldn't exist yet. And then the houses. And every single room has a kang and a stove, warm, comfortable, hides on the beds, 2 windows each, peepholes in the doors with wooden plugs in them, firelight in the room. And it lands on her hard, because her tribe doesn't have any of this. 30,000 people, and nobody's warm. And she wants to ask me how they're made, and she doesn't. And then she asks to go up on the wall, and I take her. And there are stairs on every section because people have to get up there fast. And from the top, she watches her own warriors outside, building shacks, sitting in the dirt, putting up lean-tos outside the gate. And it hits her. Because normally, when the Firebird tribe visits anybody, they're honored guests, and her men are camping in a ditch, and they see her, and she nods to them that she's fine. And then she watches my hunters patrol the wall with bows, and she does the math. Several hundred warriors might not be able to take this place. And that's when everything comes apart in her head. Because the Firebird live on the plains, with nothing. No walls, no defenses, nothing at all. They win every fight by numbers. That's it. That's the whole military doctrine of a nation of 30,000 people. Send more men than the other guy has, and pay for it. And they pay every single time. And she has to watch it every time. And she's standing on my wall, looking down at what it would cost to attack it. And the answer is, more than the Firebird has ever paid for anything. And she decides, right there, she's going home to make her father build a city. And then she notices the trench, 500 meters of it, all the way around, half done. What's that for? And I lie, straight to her face. We mud out there. We've got too few people. Going far for mud wastes time. And she thinks about it and decides that makes sense, because it does. That's why it's a good lie. Every word of it is true. We did dig mud out of it. We are short-handed. It just isn't a mud pit. It's a moat. And I'm not telling the daughter of 30,000 people where my water goes. And I'm wrong about her. That's the thing I have to sit with. Because the Firebird are friendly, genuinely, straightforward, easygoing people. A tribe that repays a wrong and repays a kindness. That's their whole character. That's what they're known for. And the entire nation stands together against anything that comes at it. And I lied to her about a ditch. And I'd do it again. Because I've got 80 people and no margin. And being right about her later doesn't help me if I'm wrong about her now. And I give her a room and a woman to keep her fire going overnight. And she lies there thinking about everything she's seen since she walked through that gate, and every single thing on the list is something she has never seen before. And she's the daughter of a super tribe. And in the morning, the horn goes, and it startles her out of bed. She thinks something's wrong. She grabs her hides and gets outside fast, and it's just morning. And the squads are training, and Jiao's kitchen is making food, and everybody has a job, and it's orderly. It looks like every person in that city is part of one thing. And Sang-hoo's squad is changing shift on the wall, and I'm running 2 and 3 through 10 shots each, and she watches how they move, and every one of them shoots well. Ask me what the daughter of 30,000 people is thinking while she watches 80 people shoot. And breakfast is boiled fish. And the slaves come up out of the mud pits and line up with their own bowls and chopsticks, and they eat, squatting outside, and everyone else eats in the hall. And when the other squads finish, the wall crew comes down and takes their turn, because nobody eats until the wall is covered. That's a rota. That's a duty roster. That's an army. And Qing Luan did not expect fish, because fish is a rare delicacy, and even the firebird almost never eat it. And that's the thing that finally breaks her, because primitive people can't catch fish. They just can't. Not because they're stupid, because nobody ever showed them. We think fishing's easy because 10,000 years of people worked it out for us and handed it down. Take that away, and a river is just water that food lives in. The firebird are basically nomads. Meat is the staple. 30,000 people, tens of thousands of animals, and the fish are right there and always have been. And she's dying to ask. And she doesn't, because it would be rude, because that's a tribe's secret, and a tribe's secrets are its hope of survival. And she knows exactly what she'd say if somebody asked her. And I look at her, deciding not to ask me for the thing that would feed her nation. And I don't offer. I have to go back today. Next time we have something good, I'll bring it. Thank you. And I walk her out, and her warriors come straight over and salute her. Chief Li, we'll head back. I'll come see you again. And she mounts up and goes. And the whole way home, she's running the list. And by the time she gets there, she has decided. The Firebird tribe is going to build walls. 30,000 people are going to start building a city because a 14-year-old wouldn't let her look at his ditch. And I go get the rattan Sang-hoo brought back. And old man Hu and I weave it, strand by strand, all afternoon. And we get one set of rattan armor. Chief, we can just use hides for winter. This thing is full of holes. It'd be freezing. And I smile at him. It's not for winter. It's for the warriors. And I call Chang-Hu over and put it on him, and then I pick up a stone axe and swing it at him. And he goes to dodge, and I tell him to stand still. And I hit him in the stomach with an axe. And everybody looks, and nothing happened. And Chang-Hu falls in love with it on the spot, and he will not take it off, and I don't make him. He goes off on patrol wearing it, delighted, and I let him, because there's no better advertisement in this city than the biggest man in it wandering around in armor, grinning. Old man Hu, turn all of it into armor. As many sets as you can. And I go outside the wall, and there's brick stacked everywhere, and the moat is nearly 700 meters, 300 to go. And I look at the sky, and it's going to rain, and it's getting cold, and winter is coming, and it is going to be the hardest thing this tribe has ever faced. And the rain starts, and I shout for the slaves to get inside. And I want to be clear about why. Because in primitive society, a fever kills you, a cold kills you. That's it. That's the whole prognosis. And I have 42 prisoners standing in the rain, and I put them under a roof, because a dead slave is a wasted man, and because I'm not standing here watching people get sick over a wall that can wait a day. Both of those are true at once, and I've stopped trying to separate them. And He Hu's squad comes in with 20 animals, and Mei Lin's comes in with over 100 fish, and Lei's comes in herding the flock. And I stand at the gate and wave every single one of them in, and then I lower 400 pounds of gate myself, and go inside. And then I go find Lei. Lei, how many sheep are in the pasture? How many boars? How many rabbits? And he pulls a fistful of twigs out of his pocket. Short stick is a rabbit. Long stick is a sheep. Knot in a rope is a boar. Small pebble is a calf. And I just stand there. Because I forgot. Because primitive people cannot count. And a 12-year-old boy running the largest herd of animals in this region invented a physical database out of garbage, and it works. Every day he takes the sticks out with the goats. He counts the goats against the sticks. Every night when they come in, he does it again. He's terrified of losing one. And he's 12. And it's raining, and nobody's working. So I tell Lei to bring me every child in the tribe, and they come, dozens of them, and Mei Lin comes too. And I get a wooden board, and I teach them mathematics. 1 and 1 is 2. 2 and 2 is 4. 3 and 3 is 6. Over and over and over. And by afternoon, it's still raining, and many of them can work within 20. And I'm so happy I can barely stand it. Because that's the actual thing. That's the real one. Not the wall, not the iron, not the gate. numbers, in their heads. In children, we'll have them for 60 years and give them to their children, and this valley will never go back to counting sheep with sticks in a pocket ever again. And Mei Lin is doing addition and subtraction within 50 in one afternoon. And I look at her and think, I have to teach this one properly, on her own, as soon as I have time. And Lei studies harder than anybody in that room, because he knows exactly what it's for, because he is sick of carrying a pocket full of sticks. And then I count them, 500 long sticks, over 100 short, 160 knots. Over 500 goats, over 100 rabbits, 160 boars, and 3 calves, over 700 animals, and over 900 dried fish. And winter is not going to be a problem. Winter is not going to be a problem. Say that sentence in this world and see what happens to people's faces. 3 months ago, this tribe ate once a day and lost 4 men over a goat, and the elders could tell you exactly which winters took which people. And I set up a warehouse, and I give it to Zhao. Only you and I go in. Anyone else caught inside is extinguished from the tribe immediately. Because that's not food. That's everybody's life, sitting in a room. And Squad 1 hauls it all in, several thousand dried fish, and over 10,000 caddies of cured meat, because 120 animals came out of that valley at 160 caddies each, 19,000 caddies of animal, and after drying, about 14,000. And it fills 2 warehouses completely, and it shocks me, genuinely. I stand in the doorway, and I'm the one who's shocked. Because I did this. I know exactly how it happened. I planned every step, and I still cannot believe how fast it went. 3 months. And now I'm short of rooms. 4 for slaves, 8 squad leaders plus Ling. 60-odd tribesmen at 6 to a room is 20 more, plus a canteen and 2 warehouses. 27 rooms occupied, and the city only holds about 60. And I designed it that way months ago when I had 31 people. Canghu, 10 slaves on houses, in rows. Neat. Neat saves space, and it looks good, and leave land for a training field. And when the moat's done, the pasture goes outside the city. Because there's over 10 meters between the wall and the moat, all the way around. And that's room for 4,000 or 5,000 animals. And then we drive stakes into the bottom of the moat, so the sheep don't fall in, and it reinforces the moat. 2 birds. The moat holds the herd in and the enemy out, and the stakes at the bottom do both jobs at once, and I got the idea from worrying about sheep. Hey who, 2,000 caddies of timber a day. 8 men, 200 caddies each, and with iron blades, that's easy. That's what iron did. Not battles, lumber. And then I go find Mei Lin at the river, and her 5-person squad is casting nets, and they pull 30 fish out in a few minutes. And she comes over. Chief, why are you here? And I pat her on the head, and she goes bright red, and she drags me over to show me the catch. 4 hide bags, nearly full. Over 200 fish. And I tell her to stop. From now on, only catch what the tribe eats that day. Both warehouses are full. There are over 1,000 dried fish already. And fishing like this every day will crash the fish population. We have to plan long term, not just for right now. And she sort of gets it, and sort of doesn't. And she does it anyway, because I said so. And I've just invented conservation. In a world where every single person alive would take every fish in that river today and think it was a great day, because tomorrow isn't real here, because nobody has ever had enough of anything long enough to think past it. And I told a 14-year-old to catch fewer fish. And she'll do it. And the river will still be there in 10 years. And we get back, and the slaves are arguing, and Ming Yue's squad already has bows on them, and they're flat on the ground. What happened? Somebody explain. And a Stone Tribe man steps up and points at the Wolf Tribe men. They're bullying us. They make us do their work and then sit down. And I go off. If there is a next time, I will kill you. And he puts his head down fast, because he believes me. And here's what's actually happening, and it's the oldest thing in the world. The Wolf Tribe were the kings of this valley, and they're in the mud now, roped, eating half rations, and they found somebody weaker to stand on. 3 months out of power, and they're still running the same business model. It's all they've ever known. So I gather all 42 of them. I'm selecting 4 captains from among you. They supervise your work. Anyone lazy, anyone who refuses an order, I break your legs and feed you to the wolves. And then I ask Ming Yue which of the women works hardest, and she points at one who isn't very tall. What's your name? Xiao Feng. You're captain of your room. If anyone in your room escapes or slacks, all 10 of you go without food. And if you catch someone, you come straight to me. and she agrees happily. Happily. A prisoner of war just got made a middle manager, and she is thrilled. And captains get an extra portion every day. That's this tribe's recognition of you. And second room is a tall man, honest, simple, no angles in him. Jun, your captain. Anyone escapes or slacks, I break your legs, and your room goes 3 days without food. And third room's captain is a wolf tribe man. Straightforward, doesn't talk much. Gang. And that's deliberate, because I just watched the wolf tribe men bully the stone tribe men, and the answer isn't more guards. The answer is making a wolf tribe man personally responsible for what the wolf tribe men do. And fourth room is a stone tribe man, Young. And in one afternoon, I've turned 42 prisoners into 4 rooms with 4 captains and collective punishment and a bonus scheme. I don't guard them anymore. They guard each other. And the ones doing it are grateful for the extra bowl. And then the 5 children, and I put them with Lei. So they get a huaxia education from the start, so they don't grow up hating us. Because they're 5, they understand nothing. They're the easiest to shape. And what am I supposed to do? Put a 5-year-old in a mud pit? And this is the only way they survive at all. If they were older, it's the pit. That's the whole option list. And you can call me cold-hearted for thinking about it this way. And if I handle it wrong, this tribe gets destroyed from the inside in 15 years. Because who knows what a child thinks once he grows up? And I know exactly what I'm doing. I destroyed their tribe. I roped their parents. And I'm raising their children to love me. And it's mercy. And it's the coldest thing I've ever done. And it's the same act. And a few days later, we're out checking traps. Over 40 of them. 7 sheep and a boar so far. And on the way to the next one, roaring in the distance. And I leave one man with the prey. And here's where I leave you. Because look at what's standing in that field. A 14-year-old food delivery driver who slipped on a mountain in the rain. And behind him, a walled city with a gate and a moat. 80 people, 3 squads, 6 iron blades, 700 animals, 2 warehouses that will not empty, a flag with a dragon on it, and children who can do arithmetic. 90 days. And the girl who held his head out of the dirt with somebody else's blood on her face isn't thin anymore, and she runs the fishing team, and she can do sums in her head to 50. And the old man whose leg the wolf tribe took runs the workshop that makes every weapon in this city. And the man who lost this tribe, and his wife, and everything, takes his orders now, and sleeps warm, and cuddles an iron spear like a treasure. And out there is the wolf tribe with 100 men and a debt I swore quietly to myself in a workshop. And the Tao Tie who spend 200 lives on an ambush and don't blink. And Mang Bao who has my arrow in his arm and my face in his head and knows exactly what my weapons do. And the Firebird, 30,000 strong, who are building walls right now because of me. And none of that is the thing. Because Qing Luan stood on my wall and asked me one question, and I looked her in the eye and I lied about a ditch. And she believed me. And she went home and gave a nation of 30,000 people my architecture. And she's coming back. She said so. And she's going to keep coming back, with gifts and with friendship and with her father's questions. And every time she comes, she gets a little more of it. And I get a little more salt. And the price hasn't been named yet. Ask me what it costs to be friends with someone who could